you getting your hands wet while you wipe.
All right.
I don't know if that's the main reason people do that. It might be a reason people do that,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Now
think
recording.
that it's just kind of how you grew up and how you learned to wipe your own ass.
But how would you have learned it? Because like usually no one shows you.
Well, it's
They
like your
just-
parents or whatever would have to wipe your ass for you before you learn.
Exactly,
And
they
then when
wipe
you
it for
start
you.
to learn, then you'd have to like develop your own way.
But
Yeah.
then like there's a point where you transition from like, okay, well, you know the washroom, do it yourself kind of thing, and then at that point you just like you said, do it your own way. So
But
you wouldn't know
Your
if
parents
you're
are
doing the
still
right
in
way.
there the first while that you're still learning, so they might be like, okay, now just get up and wipe your ass, or like they might just teach you, instruct you.
Well, you might be standing because when you're a toddler, you might be not be able to reach under because your arms are shorter, right? So
I
maybe
mean,
that's
still-
how it starts with the standing.
No.
I mean, it's kind of the same with other
Why
stuff
don't
that
you
you
just
learn how to
ask
do
your parents?
yourself.
Why don't
so-
you just ask your parents? How did I learn how to wipe my ass? And then you just see what they say.
You never did.
We never taught you.
But I mean, it's like kind of similar to like how you learn how to do other stuff that you typically learn yourself, like walking and everything. People might have their own quirks and everything.
I feel
It's
like with
just
other
how
stuff,
they developed
those are shared moments. Like you learn it, but I don't know. There's things that you do alone. So how do you know if you're doing the right way? But and there's things that you don't really
Again,
talk
it's-
about.
As long as you get your ass clean, then it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, you could. It doesn't. You could be wiping your ass with like, I don't know, like a stick, if you really wanted to. As long as your ass is clean at the end and you have some way of dealing with that stick, I don't think anybody's gonna ask. I think the only problem you'll have is you go to like your friend's house, and then
Yeah,
you
and
come
they'll
out of the
ask you
washroom,
what
you're
that
like,
stick is?
no, you're at your friend's house, and yeah, and then you'll be
Oh,
like,
I see.
hey, do you have a stick? And then they'll be like, what? Yeah, I gotta wipe my ass. Do you have a stick? And then during that exchange, you'll figure out if you're
Or-
doing the popular method or not.
Or you use a stick that you did find, and then they're like, they just get upset at you.
Where you like bring the stick everywhere you go.
No, like let's say they have, I don't know, a stick or like a plant, you know, and you used it.
I mean, it's just like the three seashells in Demolition Man.
Oh, what's this 3C Sean Demolition? What's that? What's that
And-
reference?
Yeah, have you seen the movie before or heard of it?
No.
It's a really crappy like sci-fi movie. Basically, Stallone is like a hero cop. They freeze him or unfreeze him in the future to catch a criminal. But anyways, one of the things in the future that he doesn't know is that they stopped using toilet paper and instead there's like 3 seashells on the toilet, and he doesn't know how to use them. And then like
Yeah.
Rob Schneider or whoever, when he asked about, he's like, he just laughs at him. He's like, he doesn't know how to use the seashells. It's just really stupid. Terrible movie.
No, it's true though.
It's
I
true.
guess that's wrong. I wouldn't know what to use seashells for. If I went to the future.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if the writers or anything actually had anything in mind for the 3 seashells.
One thing I noticed with COVID, because like I'm working from home now, is that I don't notice that changing around me because I'm not in the office, so I can't tell. I didn't figure out like people are leaving and going. So like we get new staff all the time now, and like I'm seeing new names in email, new names in like my emails and stuff. So I'm like, oh, who's this person?
Oh yeah,
They'll
you
be
should
like,
totally say those names out loud right now while we're live.
First and last
Yeah,
name.
first and last name.
Contact
I don't remember
information
them.
if you have it.
But it's just a thought that I had with COVID, like this observation where things are changing around you and you don't even notice them because you're not there.
Yeah, well, it's like for my work, I've had to like basically make up a schedule for something, and I only do it like once every 3 months or so. But every single time that I've done it during COVID, every single time after I send it out, someone emails me back. It's like, oh, this has to be changed because this person's not doing this anymore, or this person has to be added, or something like
Well,
that.
this person's been dead for 15 years.
Yeah, that one really threw me through a loop.
Oh, really? You had that ghost
No.
event where it's like,
Yeah,
it's
there's
like,
an
oh, how
actual
come
ghost.
Bob's not here? Bob's never been here. Bob's been gone for 70 years, and then you're like, I've been talking to a ghost, and then you have these flashbacks, kind of like Sixth Sense, where
Yeah, don't you hate
Bob
it when
never
that
exists.
happens?
How did he know how to use email?
He died right at the right time. So he
70 years ago, and there was email.
oh, he was a fast learner. He got the gist of it.
Oh yeah,
Ghost
freaking
Bob.
ghost workers.
Welcome to a new episode of a Verbal Laxative. We have with us me, Jason, and Brian. Oh yeah, Zinzin, Jason, and Brian.
Who are you again?
Yeah, that was a really unique
That's why we
cold
left.
open.
That's why we usually leave it to Jason to introduce us.
Yes,
I
let's
mean,
do a
it's no big
Jason
deal
cut.
at all.
Well, we should do a Jason. Well, Jason can introduce again, and we could do a Jason cut.
Really not necessary.
Jason cut. Let's
You
do
think we're at that level where we need to redo intros and stuff?
Never. We were never.
We're not
I
that
leave
good.
it all in, anyways.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I'll do the intro like towards the end of the episode.
No, we don't. You know what? No, that would be weird. No, I would definitely cut that shit out.
Oh, I see how it is.
Oh yeah, that's right. All
executive
the
editor.
He holds all the power.
If
If
only,
he really wanted to, he could cut out someone entirely from the episode. Just every time he speaks, just cut it out.
Can you imagine what
Doesn't
I've been
matter
doing?
if this nothing makes sense.
If you imagine what I've been doing, like every podcast, I've just been snipping everybody. Saying, Zinzin is the best.
Hassan's actually been on every single episode, but you just don't hear him.
Oh, we shouldn't ruin that surprise. People don't know that Hassan is here right now.
Yeah, I mean he is. You just won't hear him.
Yep, that's right.
This is just Zinzin's little thing.
No.
Hassan pissed him off. Hassan went to his door and just knocked lightly on the door to say hi, and then that just set him off. Cut him out. We still tell him to join the call and everything for the recording, but it just cuts him out.
This is a terrible scenario. A more likely scenario would be Hassan came up to my door and then smeared shit all over it, as is the secret sign indicating to me that he was here. Like a dog, how they leave urine on a tree. So, as I do every day, I open the door and sniff it to see if there's shit on it. And I was delighted to see that it was Hassan. So then we rendezvoused. And
So where's the
fill in
part
the
where
blank.
you yeah, where that's a lot of blank. It seems very friendly and casual, but then what's the reason for cutting him out?
frolicked. We frolicked and well, we don't know. It doesn't necessarily. No, I didn't cut him out. That's fake news. What happened was we were putting on a sting operation. You see, the
I
sting
don't
operation
see.
was basically to pretend that he wasn't going to be on the show for a long while, but the whole time he's just been like camping outside someone's house, just like shitting in a diaper for like a couple months on end, doing a stakeout.
At least my scenario had more believable Hassan actions.
Hassan would come up to my door and lightly knock. Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's a very passive guy.
Right off the bat, that is not. No, like he's more likely to come up and smear shit all over.
Okay, well, what do you have to say about that, Hassan? Anyways,
Good answer.
Anybody listening to this has figured out we've lost our minds. This is not normal
I've
behavior.
lost my mind. I never had a mind really.
Yeah, this is not healthy. This is a recorded descent into madness.
It's cabin fever, man. It's
Oh.
the COVID fever.
Oh man, we've been recording a lot of filler episodes lately, just because we are
yeah?
just
What-
filling a lot of shit.
What's considered?
Do you feel
filler
like
episode?
our talk about luxury and veganism is fillers? I
Every
feel like they're
episode
like-
has been filler. I don't even think we've ever had one canon episode.
Well, why do we need we don't have a storyline.
Yeah, what's considered canon?
Well, what's the difference between filler and canon then?
One is written on the manga, and one is only anime only.
Okay, so we're
Oh.
all filler.
Manga could have filler.
Well, yeah, we're all filler.
Yeah.
I thought manga couldn't have filler. I thought that was the idea, that manga was always canon, and what was anime only is a filler.
There's some mangas and stuff like those things at like the end of the story. They might have some, I don't know, chibi ass extra stuff that doesn't actually play into the storyline.
So
Stuff
what
like
is
that.
our story arc here? Like,
We have none. That's
So,
why it's
yeah,
all
what I'm
filler.
saying. Yeah, everything's filler because we don't have a storyline. There's no continuity to anything.
no, that's right.
Anyone can listen to any episode, and it make just as less sense if they listen to it.
You've been
in order.
on like near 60 episodes of just straight filler.
He's been trying to put in the storyline.
What was your idea of the podcast? What storyline did you envision?
Nothing. It was
When we
just
first
filler.
made this podcast, it was just like we talk about random crap during work, so we might as well record it for laughs.
Yeah.
And here
that
we
works.
are. After how many episodes? There's still no laughs. Mission failed.
Gross.
Well-
You have an obligation for those like 20 fans that do listen to the show.
20 fans.
20 fans.
What fantasy world do you live in?
There's at
20
least there's at
fans?
least 20 that might be humans, and then the rest are all like bots. And
I think that 80% of them are bots.
yeah, that's already filtering out the 80%.
Do you
So you
feel
already
like
took that into account?
do you feel like other podcasts has aren't they all fillers, or do you feel like there's an arc to them?
There's probably some that
some
have
of
a
them,
story.
yeah, some of them that are scripted.
There's
might have
probably
a
some
story.
like you remember like old time radio shows before there was TV. There's probably podcasts like that.
Like,
yeah,
There's probably podcasts where they just read books or something too.
Yeah, well, there's tons. There's like History of Rome podcast and shit like that. That's all.
but people
canon.
listen to podcasts just for background noise, right? They don't really listen to podcasts because they wanted to follow the lives of us and throughout.
What? There's some people.
You
can't
Some of that
say
is like
that.
background noise. Like if they like to listen to this fucking stories as background noise or whatever. Audio
Yeah,
show.
some people would pay attention to the podcasts they listen to.
Like, I'm pretty sure people aren't tracking our political views and how it evolves throughout the episode.
Oh, nobody except like the CIA or whoever or the FBI
Yeah,
is
I
tracking
mean,
our political
You'd
views.
really have to check the Verbal Laxative wiki to keep track of the lore.
Oh, this would be like a. Yeah, this is. You should create a wiki, and then that will be the thing that.
I don't even keep track of our Twitter.
That
What
will
makes
be
you
the
think I'm gonna
thing
make a wiki?
that actually gets people in, that lures people into this.
There's no way.
Yeah.
I found that Twitter's a dangerous thing where people get, accidentally racist and get canceled. Should we even have a Twitter?
We
Why?
don't even
You
use
can't-
it. We have a Twitter, but we don't use it.
You can't just.
Okay.
You can't help yourself. You're just sweating out racism that you need to get. You need to tweet out.
I'm just saying, it's happened to other people. It's dangerous.
Okay.
Dude, everyone's getting canceled for everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say anymore.
I know.
It could be the most tame single word post to be like hello, and then someone's gonna take offense to it.
Both of your nightmares are basically that getting canceled. You know that Harry Potter scene where what was it? They had that class where they go in front of that creature that like transforms into your worst nightmare or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. But if both of you go up, it'll transform into like a fucking tweet that all of a sudden says your account's banned or something like that.
Oh,
I don't even use Twitter.
I know the phrase that Jason would be canceled for. But
Ridiculous.
what? No.
No, that's
There was a famous
use
line
against
that
it.
you said that.
Yes,
You
I am
accidentally-
quite aware that.
Oh
you
God,
take that
this is
offensive.
a black mark upon him. A scar that he can never hide.
Have you?
Even though it's not.
Yeah, this is gonna be like the old man Logan sort of a story arc. Jason's like fucking like old. Everybody's dead. He promises never to use his powers again. They roll up. The authorities roll up on him. We found a recording of you. I promised I would never record
Listen to
ever
the whole
again.
recording. I explain it every time.
I promised I would never record. I would never record my voice ever again.
Would
Cops
you?
just pick and choose what they listen to. Only this part's evidence. The rest isn't. That's the canon. That's the lore.
I feel like yeah, those are the small snippets that we have as canon.
That yeah, our canon is all the little all the little details that come up that are
Yeah, everything. Take it out of context.
Easter eggs.
I think that's when you know you're popular, right? Because Rooster Teeth had that issue where people were always taking things out of context from their podcasts.
No one's taken
And-
context out of anything from us yet. We've been the only ones taking our own things out of context. No one gives
That's
a
because
comment.
no one listens.
No
It
one
doesn't
gives a
matter.
comment. You are comparing apples and really really shitty oranges.
Baby Mandarin.
So, what did something happen to Rooster Teeth recently? I haven't kept up.
I stopped listening to them. I've only listened to F-Face, which is Jeff Ramsey, Gavin, and a guy named Andrew.
You bastards. You just advertising for the competition.
They're not competition.
The competition.
We are nothing towards them.
The competition.
Dude,
We aim
they're
big.
already making tons of money, so they don't need. It doesn't matter.
We aim big.
Maybe down the road they'll give us a shout out, maybe.
Yeah, they listen to this clip, and this is the one that they'll talk about.
And they're like, hey, we appreciate you guys. Come on our shit.
No, what they'll say is, what did that Jason guy say?
You'll have to listen to past episodes.
Get all their interns and shit to fucking like listen through hours worth.
Oh
of
man,
shit.
we get so many more views. Like probably at least 3.
Oh god. Oh god. Yeah, if I ever see a spike in there, I'll know something's up, something's wrong. A spike in our viewership.
Yeah, even if we're making it big, it's too suspicious.
This is the specter haunting Jason.
Hey, if
You
we
know-
make it super rich and famous, I don't care.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? Just Brian, just start tweeting and shit, and then you'll say something that'll take the heat off of Jason. And then it'll be
What do you think? Do you think the fans still dislike Jason for what he said?
I don't think anybody
What fans? I still don't
the
understand.
most
where you people are coming
controversial
up with this.
member.
There's no fans.
The most
There's no way. That's the most ridiculous statement yet to be spoken.
I just imagine now just the articles that they read about you. The most controversial member of the podcast.
Go for it. If I see my name in an article, then that's already a step above what I would have expected.
You'd have to write it yourself in the wiki.
I'm not
article.
gonna
In the
write
wiki.
about
In the
myself.
wiki.
Oh, that wiki's never gonna happen.
Oh man, I would love to see that. And
We
then-
would have like 3 lines each in our wiki, and then that's it.
all of them. This guy's a fucking loser. What the fuck's wrong with this guy? Controversial member. Also.
Have you ever done that wiki game where you're on one wiki page and you have to link it to another wiki page by clicking links only?
I don't even think that's a
Yeah,
wiki
I've done
game.
that.
I think it's just people just fucking do it. they just lose themselves. And
No, there was a site. I remember doing this in school before to kill time. There is a site where you go on and you compete against other people to see who reaches there fastest.
Oh, you okay? Like a destination somewhere?
Yeah, they give you like a starting point, like I don't know, Britney Spears, and then a finish
Oh.
point of like I don't know, Breaking Bad. And you have
Yes.
to
Okay.
Oh, that
Okay.
seems
go
too
as
easy.
fast as you can.
I see.
Nah,
I thought
I'm just
it
giving
was.
examples.
I
sorry.
thought it was just people meandering along in Wikipedia and ending up in some fucking place. You know, like
It
you
was
you
actually a game.
you search up like fucking dental implants and you end up at like fucking fisting or some shit like that.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, that's normal too. Well, like wiki, yeah, you can get sucked into that dark hole and not sure where you end up by clicking on links, right?
Yeah.
I think the
yeah.
biggest game right now, at least in those like a web game that people have been playing lately, is that GeoGuessr,
Oh, GeoGuessr, yeah.
where yeah, it's
Those
like
are
basically
hard.
Google Maps. You get placed somewhere randomly in the world, and you have to guess where it is.
Those are hard, like especially when you're placing with like trees and stuff, and you're just like, I don't know, like I can't tell American highway versus like a European highway because they just all look like cement with a line and trees on the side, right? So
Yeah, I don't know. Some people are hardcore about it though. They like learn how to tell by like even looking at the position of the sun and stuff. And
Oh
it's
wow.
ridiculous. I don't know. I don't know how they do
Position
it.
of the sun? Really?
Well, at least that gives you an idea of if what hemisphere you're in, I think someone
Is
said.
it like the haze in the air, or like
I don't
they
know.
could even tell just by the shades of the grass?
I've never played the game. I've only seen other people play on like Twitch and stuff.
Do you remember a TV show back in the day when internet wasn't a big thing? It was called Man Tracker,
Yeah,
where you're like
that show
you're on
was.
foot.
I'm pretty sure it's fake.
Yeah, I think it's well, there are some rules in the show, like you certain areas that are out of bounds and stuff. So, and then like during the time when you have to sleep and stuff, the man trackers like gets close to you anyways, and so you guys reset your point. So it doesn't matter really how far you get on certain days. They're like, but yeah, it is a bit scripted, you could say.
I would think it's scripted just because it's like, how do they get some of these shots? Either it's against the players because you'll have like a camera crew following you, or
Right.
like they'd have to set up cameras or something so they know a general position.
Actually,
So
that is
it
a good
makes it
point
way
because like
easier.
even if you're like hiding your own footprint, the camera crew is filming you. It's just like leaving
Yeah,
footprints
and
everywhere.
maybe they say there's no camera crew, but there's still like, if it's just up to the players, the shots that they have on that show sometimes, like what they have to like backtrack, set up cameras, and like go around that route again. Then it's like they're not only killing time, but they're making even more tracks, and it's like ridiculous. So I don't know how they explain that.
Yeah. Would you say it's an entertaining show?
Not really. I prefer like Survivor Man.
Survivor.
Yeah, Les Stroud. He just goes somewhere isolated in the world and just like survives for however long, like a week or two.
Oh, cool. Has you ever been surviving the prison? Like, or is it all
No, it's all wilderness.
Yeah, Survivor Man 2021 edition.
Yeah, think
Right
of
in
like
the
Bear
middle.
Grylls, but more real.
Right in the middle of New Delhi during COVID. I'm gonna try to survive here.
Yeah, you might
That
enjoy
would
the
be
show.
a good one.
It's a good survival show. It's
New
like,
Delhi, yeah.
yeah, they actually does it all himself. He does have to set up all the cameras himself and everything.
He's
And
like, yeah, he's like the less dramatic Bear Grylls. Bear Grylls
yeah,
was
much
just
more
like,
realistic. He doesn't drink his own piss
yeah.
and
Well,
stuff.
I always thought about like Bear Grylls is like, oh, now I've got to drink my own urine, and he just drinks it on camera, and the cameraman's like filming the whole thing, and then what? The action scene is, and then the scene is like, okay, cut, all right, and he brings out the camera crew brings out bottles of water and shit. It's like, man, you didn't have to go that far, man.
we have color dye.
Yeah, there was that one episode where he's looking for like something just like moisture or whatever in like in the desert, and he finds a pile of like elephant shit. Takes the shit
Oh,
and
yeah, I saw
squeezes it for the water into his mouth, and the camera guy I could just imagine the camera guy just like, man, I feel so guilty bringing my bottle.
Bear Grylls is just like it's not even that extreme compared to like streamers and YouTube, right? Like what people do to just get clout.
I think at that time is just he was the man of that time for that time, before
That's
all
true.
the streamers that did that shit. I have a feeling that Bear Grylls, he didn't even, when he was a kid, he didn't even care about like survival and camping, all that shit. I think he just really liked drinking piss. And then he thought about like, and then his parents were like, "You can't just fucking drink piss. What are you, a fucking weirdo? You can't do that." But then so he had to keep it down low, and he's like, I wish I could drink piss and shit in society, but it just won't let me. And then he looks like at an army recruitment poster. He's like, "Oh yeah, survive in the wild at all costs. Yeah, sign me up." Does the survival course, figures out that he can just eat. It's acceptable now to eat and shit, eat his own shit and drink his own piss. And then
I-
everything was gravy after that.
I like to imagine that he only did it because he had like a childhood bet with someone, like a friend, and it's like, I bet one day I'm gonna make a lot of money by just drinking my own piss, and then all these years later he remembered it. And
Isn't this the
did it on
same
TV.
as My Strange Addiction? Like a girl, she couldn't help but eating. She enjoys eating. And like there are people who like have balloon fetishes and stuff like that.
Yeah, except he went the other route. He went the reality TV survival instructor route to get to do what he loved. Just
I always-
drinking piss.
always thought reality TV was strange when they're on channels like the Learning Channel and like History would have Storage Wars, and I'm like,
I like how
what the
History
Storage
Channel.
War?
I know. I like how History Channel doesn't even have anything to do with history.
Yeah, the History Channel devolved so much, and it's all basically just crappy reality shows.
Pawn
Yeah.
Stars. and shit.
Like
Yeah, it's like why History Channel? What happened to history?
it's history. Oh, it's their own demise for calling themselves History Channel.
I can't wait for another like couple years down the road if it's still alive. It's just gonna be a porn channel. It's gonna join like Brazzers and Playboy, the
Well, I
History
guess-
Channel, lesbians, roommates.
Well, like if you know how like in sports and stuff, people still like the old legends and stuff. What if history finds a market where people enjoy like the porn stars that they grew up with, kind of thing?
I'm pretty sure there's retro porn out there.
Yeah, yeah. The History Channel gets his foot in by showing retro porn.
Like
and then the post Zoomers that grows up on that, they'll be like, yeah, history, fucking, that's so hot. I get a boner every time I watch the History Channel. I love all that old shit. And then someone will be like, it used to show history. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what?
This is my history.
That's right.
Or
And
it'll
history's-
it'll blow some people's minds. They'll be like, oh my god, it all makes sense why it would call it history now. I figure out what a floppy disk is in real life now.
I do like how kids nowadays call floppy disk the safe button.
Yeah,
'Cause
and
my-
the History Channel is going to be a porn channel. Yeah, I'm going to go fucking jerk it to some history after that.
Man, this is nothing like my history class.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. They'd be like, "Oh, you have history class where you just jerk off in school."
Honestly, it might be more worthwhile just to turn all history classes into like a pornographic hour anyways. Because they all teach a bunch of shit in history anyways. So you might as well make it into something that's worthwhile.
School is not
Right.
supposed to be pleasurable. It's supposed to be torture.
Well, this is how you change it into something that's better. Everybody's going to remember history class from here on out.
That
It's-
would make people remember.
Yeah, I don't know if the parents are okay with that, but yeah.
It's like
Remember.
health class, but different.
Oh,
How
God.
much porn did you get to watch in health class? Did you?
None? What? Wait, you mean in this hypothetical world or in real life?
Oh, you learn about sex ed. You learn about sex ed, right?
Right, I don't think that was health class.
Yeah. What school did you go to?
Oh, this is in my buddy's house.
Did that
Oh,
teacher,
hell
did he get another job in a prison or something?
As a matter of fact, I went to the prison to watch it.
Well, they say that a lot of people do learn about sex ed through porn, right? So
Yes.
Yeah, but
It
not
would
in
make sense.
school.
it wouldn't make
practical
sense to
sex
show
ed.
it in sex ed.
they just show like kinky fetish scenes and shit. It'd be like, I didn't learn anything about my anatomy from that.
No, what you learn from all that is that you can't kink shame anymore.
Yeah, it's just like a fucking scene. It's like a scene of like just all latex play and shit, bondage. You're like, what?
And for some reason, those kids just develop every single fetish there is.
The kid's like,
That's-
I still don't know what a ball sack is, but I know
It's like-
I know what fucking BDSM and what a secret word is now, and what a
But, like-
mistress is.
Well, like in health class, you learn about sex. Like you learn about the organs and you learn about like penises and things like that, right? But you don't really learn about sex, like the whole idea of like penis penetrating a vagina.
Oh, yo,
And even
there was
Well, you learn that the P goes in the V, and that's about all you learn.
Yeah,
And
there's
yeah,
a-
but you don't know what that looks like. You know, they show like cartoon drawings and stuff,
it changes.
but it wouldn't make sense.
It
to
changes
show
in
porn.
each country. It shows it kind of differently. There was
What do you mean?
there was a video of where people were reviewing what different countries' sex ed education videos look like, and it depends on whatever country it was either really graphic or very abstract and not very descriptive. They had one from
what's considered abstract.
well, it's just like
they
oh,
use
you,
shapes?
yeah, no, yeah, it'll just be like yeah, and this is the penis. This is the vast deference. Or,
Do they
it's
show,
just
like,
like a
fruits?
slide, or whatever,
they
right?
show fruits like a banana inserting into a cantaloupe or something?
Well, they'll show like a banana, like a condom being put over a banana and shit. But they had one where I think it was from Myanmar, maybe, where it was basically showing the cartoon drawing of a dick going into a pussy. And it was really like violently going into.
Jesus. They're just showing straight hentai.
So everybody in Myanmar knows how to fuck, definitely. There's no
Because
question about it.
my friend's health class.
They
teacher,
probably
and
jerked it in class, dude. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, don't look away, kids. Don't look away.
My friend who's a health teacher, and he taught sex ed, and he was told you're not allowed to put a condom on a banana as a demonstration anymore, because girls were afraid of how big a penis would be. Because when you show a size of a banana, they're that big. Like,
Why
they're
don't you just get
super
the
freaked out.
fucking mini bananas?
Yeah, get the plantain.
So I guess now he was told you have to use two fingers to show to represent the penis, and you're
Great.
no longer getting a erect big yellow banana. as
Great,
a
great,
penis.
great. Now you're gonna get a whole bunch of fucking high schoolers just putting condoms on their fingers and be like, I think this is how I do it. Shove it in there.
See,
They're
that's-
having unprotected sex, but they got condoms on their fingers. It's like,
That's what I'm
we're
saying,
safe.
like-
I had like
I'm so
4
scared.
condoms.
I'm not ready to be a father yet.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is where porn makes sense. It's like to show them, like, well, this is how sex is done. It's, they're gonna watch it anyway, or they probably seen it. So it's not like you're not showing them. You're not
Yeah.
showing them anything they didn't know.
Get every teacher, get the entire school going to prison on like fucking showing porn to kids charges.
Yeah, there's a better way. Just make better educational videos and stuff.
I mean, they could watch it on Twitch because there's a new meta currently
What?
called hot tub meta in Twitch.
But that's not sex.
It's leading to it.
Well, I mean, potentially, but I highly doubt it because they're still TOS.
Well, yeah, there's an exploit. Well, would it be an exploit? Like, there's a lot of debate on the hot tub meta. Some people are saying it allows women to get the bank kind of thing.
They're just
And
trying
they're
to
just-
break into like the OnlyFans market and stuff, steal some of that audience.
All right,
or-
why don't you guys go on make a Twitch account for us and start doing the fucking hot tub shit? Both of you.
I don't
because
want
it's
to.
mostly benefiting women. It hasn't shown to benefit men as much.
Okay, we can just slather some butter on Jason's body and then we can try pass him off. As
We'd get banned within 3 seconds.
What do you find it upsetting that that's a meta, or do you think it's good that women are
No, I think it's
getting?
Well, it's like Twitch has banned people for such minor things that this is very contradictory to the stuff they've done. It's like, why are you letting these certain individuals just do these hot tub streams, whereas several times in the past you've banned people for like just showing like cleavage or something like that.
Well,
And it's
So
like
the hot tub is the difference. Is hot tub they're actually following the TOS, right? Because you're not allowed wearing a swimsuit unless it's context appropriate. So people normally wear swimsuits in the hot tub, and therefore it's within their term of service. They're following Twitch's rules to the T. That's why Twitch hasn't done anything, because those are the rules they set.
What?
like it's still
Like,
stupid.
if you were on a regular video game setup for Twitch and you wore a bikini, then that's wrong, right? Because then at that point it's too obvious that you're exploiting your looks for views. But in the hot tub, normally the attire is a bikini, so it's fine to wear a bikini in the hot tub. And if you happen to be streaming in the hot tub, then it's okay.
Yo, power to them. They can do all the hot tub streams they want. Who cares? I am not troubled by the hypocrisy of it at all.
I think the other idea is that eventually people will get bored of it, and that this meta will go away.
Oh yeah, so
That's-
this-
I don't know. I think Twitch is gonna see like, hey, this is making money, and then it's gonna start breaking into the not only OnlyFans but the live streaming webcam girls and stuff.
And that's
They're gonna
fine.
start doing it.
Put the anal beads right in during the live stream.
Twitch will just have a R-rated version. Like TV has R-rated channels, right? There are channels that you have to pay extra, like hotels. They market those like, adult-only channels that you have to pay for. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm
Twitch
saying
will
that
just have a
could lead
paywall.
to it.
Yeah,
It's true.
it just makes sense. And I think it would be fine for them.
So why did you
Oh
bring
yeah,
it up?
for them
then?
it
Did
makes
you-
more money, so
Why
I'm
did-
sure they'd be all for it.
Why did you bring this up then? Did you have something juicy or a critique that you had for this?
No. I do have a critique for my last podcast about veganism. It's about I watched a video about why eating meat won't change climate change.
Man, part 2 of
And it's-
shitting on the vegans. All right, here we go.
Well,
All
it's
right,
not shitting on
Let's
the
do it.
vegans.
Let's do it.
It's just an argument of why you should continue to eat meat and why it's beneficial, I guess. That's all. But essentially, this talks about how farmland, 2/3 of farmland that farmers generally have are not suitable for growing crops. So what they use this land for is to raise livestock, right? Because the only thing that really grows on these farmland are grass. So if we didn't eat beef, then these farmland would just be underutilized. So it wouldn't really do much. So it makes sense to grow livestock that can convert grass into into beef, which is a source of food that we can eat that gives us a certain or a high value of nutrition.
Yeah, so
Right.
they can't grow trees and stuff in this area? Or
Well,
these
they could grow
areas?
trees, but specifically it's for crops, right? Like farmland, we're talking about crops here. So if 2/3 of their land isn't suitable for crops, it makes sense to just grow livestock, right? They could grow trees, but it's not like we eat trees,
Yeah, but they could at least make them into like parks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
At least it's a use for the land.
Well, I guess this is a yeah, you could, but like they already subdivide this land for farm. But anyways, that's the side point as well. So they're saying like livestock is just a good use of resources that we would have extra if, say, the world turned vegan. Like if we all just started eating plants, kind of thing. But you're right, Jason. Like if we all start eating plants, maybe the extra land could be used for other things.
I'm a little confused.
Oh.
I'm a little confused. So what are they saying, that they should have more meat? They should have more lands dedicated to grazing cattle and livestock and that shit?
I think they're just defending themselves. Oh well, this
Or are,
was trying.
okay, or are they saying like, oh, you shouldn't just convert everything to growing crops?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think what they're trying to say is why having livestock is a positive. Like, and the idea is that livestock can convert things that we can't eat into things we can eat. So like we can't eat grass, but cows can eat grass, and if we eat a cow, but we can eat beef, right? We can eat cow.
What do they say about like all the cows are farting and polluting the fucking planet?
Right.
They
Probably don't.
So that angle, what they do is they push it onto another sector, the energy sector, which is like cars and planes. So what the argument is that like cow, yes, they fart and stuff, but they're eating the grass, right? And it's a cycle, it's like a carbon cycle.
I
So,
think
like,
it just feels like they're pulling this out of their ass.
It definitely
Well,
sounds like that.
Yeah,
This
so-
land can only be used to grow grass, so why not? We need cows to eat the grass, so it's useful.
Oh yeah, I
No,
mean
you
like
can,
what
you
the
could use the land for other things.
What the
It doesn't
fuck
have
is
to be
that?
just remaining grass.
So the whole methane is they talk about the methane or the cycle, the carbon cycle, right? Like it releases in the air and it gets captured and rains down, and it's or plants capture that carbon, things like that, and it's part of a cycle. Whereas like if you look at like energy sector like transportation and fossil fuel, we're ripping it from the underneath the ground and introducing it into the cycle. So we're adding more carbon than we should. So they're saying that like cow is just part of that cycle. So it's not like we're adding more of it. Whereas fossil fuels, because we're ripping it from the ground, we're adding more carbon into the cycle than it can handle. That's the argument there.
I think they're just pulling it out of their ass. This is full disclosure. I love fucking eating meat, but I think these guys are just pulling it out of their ass for sure. I mean,
I would agree.
this is such a bullshit kind of like angle. I don't know. I haven't seen the video, but it just sounds like a bullshit angle. I mean, the whole point, the whole issue is not just oh fucking cows are bad. No, the whole issue was like because everything is such a it's so expanded. The industrialization of this is so expanded and it's so out of control that you're getting an excess, right? So like everybody's demand for fucking beef or whatever is going up, and they just get converting more lands to grow beef because that's where the money is. So and it's already like the whole thing is okay. That's already a bad thing to have an excess of anything, whether it's fucking cars or like polluting or plants, power plants, or even just raising livestock, like in excess, right? I mean, like fucking, it would just be like, oh, okay. If you had just the normal way of like looking at this, you'd be like, oh, okay. You kind of just need to chill out and cool down. Not have that much of everything, including cars, fucking polluting plants and shit, and also the livestock raising, right? But I don't. But they just sound like they're shilling for the straight up shilling for meat. They're saying, yeah, it's not meat's fault; it's everybody else's fault. We should still absolutely continue to just convert everything into livestock, And then they're pulling a fast one on people. Like we've been growing crops for thousands of years. People know how to fucking rotate around the lands and shit. You grow whatever. They even had it. What was it? Even already in like medieval Europe, they're like, you grow whatever shit, like wheat or whatever, and the next season you grow like fucking what? Oh, I forget what it was. Some kind of tubers or whatever. It resets or it re-nutrifies like the soil or what. Like they already do all these crop rotations anyways.
That is actually well, this is not from the meat industry, but I did read about, like, you're talking about the rotation of crops, and the biggest thing is phosphorus, because when you grow crops, it absorbs all the phosphorus, and you need time for it to
yeah, you need to leave land. What was it called? Fallow or whatever. Basically, you don't grow anything for it for a season, and you rotate it way.
In modern times, we don't really have that luxury. So what we do is there's this famous rock where it's like calcified bird poop. Like there's a lot of birds that's on it, and it poops, and it creates this phosphorus-rich rock that we mine, and we use that to fertilize our soil, to regenerate the soil, so that we can continuously farm in the same spot.
Yeah, that's for countries that would have the means to do that. A lot of the world doesn't do that. A lot of the world just rotates it out, because that costs money, and that costs like at least some sort of level of development to introduce like different.
Well, it does cost a lot, and it's also a finite resource, because eventually that rock will be mined out, because there's not enough bird poop to continue to be solidified.
Yeah, so the whole fucking world is still. They use some kind of rotation in a lot of areas, right? And I just don't get, like, okay, yeah, you can have land for grazing, you rotate it out to have livestock in, but like it goes against their whole point where it's like, oh, you should just go for meat, because that's supposed to be in balance, right? You like
so their argument. Well, okay, in the video, what they're suggesting is not to say continue to eat meat. What their argument is saying, not eating meat. Like if you stop eating meat, it won't help with climate change. That's their
okay. All right.
But it's kind of like the same as when we watched about the fish documentary, the Seaspiracy or Game Changer. They're not saying, well, some of them are saying don't eat fish, but like some of them try cleverly say eat less of something, right? But anyways, in terms of excess that you're complaining about, the last point they try to make is to say that the issue is not meat, the issue is excess food, and that in groceries they throw out a lot of the food that they don't sell, right? And out of 100% of the food that they don't sell, that they throw to waste, 85% of it is made from fruits and vegetables, whereas only 15% is meat. So they're trying to tell us that a lot of vegetables and fruits are going to waste. And they're saying that if humans don't eat this, animals will. And that like this type of, not like perishable food that isn't appealing to humans could be used to feed livestock.
Okay,
that was
I
their
mean,
argument.
I mean, these are just arguments pandering to like the fucking freaks on the fringes. Like, you know, like I feel like this
That's
is
right.
made for just like super hardcore vegans that want to just abolish all meat. But I mean, like the normal fucking issue still stands, and none of this really doesn't. It doesn't address any of it, right? Like
I
they,
do, yeah, I agree with that. Like, but today's world makes sense, right? Because we are very polar, like in politics and I think in diets, where people are very fixated in their tribes, whether it's the veganism, the paleo diet, or the carnivore diet, or the meat eating diet. Like, do people even believe in a balanced diet anymore?
I have no idea. I
What
don't.
happened to the food groups thing? I know the
Um,
food pyramid thingy isn't really a thing anymore, but
Well,
I want to
okay,
say this though.
so
I want to say those like the some of the food sites and blogs and the nutrition whatever. A lot of them are like the some of the like the worst almost like cult like fucking things out there on the internet because there's a lot of shit on there, especially like the like healthy foods, nutrition guide. Like I'm not saying like the actual legit ones, but there's for every legit health or whatever food site, there's 10 that are just made by fucking freaks that are just made by
so
fucking
that's
absolute fucking just smooth brained morons that are just either grifters and they're just fucking scamming people for whatever or they're actual idiots. I saw one and it was one of the top Google results too, and it was basically saying it was saying like what was it? Oh yeah. Oh, you can tell what imported garlic is compared to domestically grown garlic in America. And it's like, oh, you shouldn't get the imported one because the imported ones they bleach them all white. And then there's tons of sites that are like parodying the same shit, right? And then right off the bat you'd be like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like the garlic is fucking what? Like, but it's like without. I don't. I think this. It's just like I guess the Google or whoever the fuck views these sites as just like not harmful at all, so they don't care about them. So they just let them proliferate, right? And it's all over. Like all these little food things, like you know, like this is along the same veins as if you drink like lemon hot water or lemon water, this will kill the COVID in your throat. Like it's the same energy, and it's
so
filled with this shit.
I feel like this is all categorized under pseudoscience, and you're
Oh
right.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's all pseudo. Yeah, like it's
because
all fucking like feel good, natural pseudoscience gurus thingamajiggy shit.
yeah. So like Jason brings a good point. He talked about the food guide, and the pyramid is a very old school food system that was,
yeah,
I think,
it's not a thing
in,
anymore.
introduced with like either Americans, like you have the very big base, which is like the wheat, and then you have the like where you want to eat a lot of grains and wheat, I guess, right? And then you have the fruits and vegetables. Then you have like the dairy. Then you have the meat, and then you might have a smaller triangle for like candy and sweets, I guess. And then this is a very dated one. So the current food guide, the modern food guide nowadays, and I think Canada has adopted it. And the way Canada does this, it shows a plate, and half the plate is fruits and veggies and like nuts and stuff, right? And then a quarter of it is like your grains and rice and bread, and then the other quarter is like your meats. And they don't actually have milk or dairy in it, so the milk industry was actually kind of upset about this. And so that was the modern food guide. So essentially, um, what scientists are saying, and this is not like the health scientists, but like this is like um, you know,
Okay, real
well,
scientists.
real
They can be
scientists.
health scientists too, but they're actual
Yeah,
scientists, not
sorry,
fucking
I should say
quacks.
they're not like crazy nutritionists ones, but like basically they're telling us you can eat whatever you want, but primarily you want to eat more fruits and vegetables than anything else. Like
Yeah,
half your meal should be that, and then have a bit of grain and bit like some rice and some meat is good enough, kind of thing.
yeah,
Milk is like, I guess, optional. It's more like a treat. Like milk to us nowadays, I think, because milk, like for most animals, it's something that you eat when you're a baby, like a kid, but you're supposed to grow out of it. Like that's why we're supposed to, that's why lactose intolerance a thing? Because that's the normal mutation of humans. Like, it's supposed to be normal for us to not uh, digest lactose, but for us, we just enjoy lactose with like sweets, like desserts, like ice cream or cake and stuff. That we just kind of grown into that mutation. Like, that was a mutation that we just kind of want to keep, right? But it's normal for people to be lactose intolerant. It's actually odd for us to continue to eat lactose at an adult age.
I love dairy products.
I do too. It's like cheese is amazing. Like,
Yeah, cheese.
is
I
lo-
still drink milk like daily, pretty much.
oh, I could not do milk. Milk
Ice
is-
cream. Oh man. Even if
Ice-
even if I like had to crap every time I ate ice cream or something, I would still do it.
Oh, do you
Are
crap
you
every time
lactose?
you?
No, I don't. I'm fine with
Ah.
it.
Oh, you know what's so funny? Okay, I bought a bottle. Like, my girlfriend enjoys milk, so I buy milk, but I don't drink it. But like, I got her one that was lactose free, and they were marketing having less sugar. And it's like, of course you have less sugar. Lactose is a sugar, so being lactose free would obviously mean you have less sugar.
Yeah, so they're
I
not lying.
Yeah,
They're not lying, but I feel like
it's
just-
marketing.
it's like marketing the obvious. It's like if I sold you ice and I'm like, these ice is vegan. These ice is cruelty free.
Yeah, they would
these
buy it.
ice
Yeah,
is-
for
Yeah.
sure. People
And you
are
mark up the price.
fucking
People buy it.
stupid. People are fucking like, I have to reiterate. If there's anybody out there that I can save this from, like just about that garlic, because I just reminiscing about it has fuck. Garlic is like the main garlic that you get around the world is fucking white. Like, there's nobody bleaches it white. I
Wait,
can't believe there's
so-
so many sites saying like, yo, the garlic that you import into the country, they're bleached white to make it seem more like like
So do you think
more
'cause
wanting. Garlic is
do you
fucking
feel-
white when it comes out.
you-
Most garlic is fucking white when they come out. It's just like apples. You got green apples, red apples, but when you bite into the apple inside, the flesh of the apple is the same color for all the apples. It's the same with garlic too. This is people. There's like grown ass people that probably are fucking raising kids that believe that imported garlic is bleached white. People are
you-
just fucking stupid.
Are you upset because China exports 90% of the world's garlic?
It wouldn't matter if whatever country
I mean, it's
exports
just
it.
people's
It's-
stupidity.
The garlic is what, like, I will say, because I've like, my grandpa grew garlic on his little village farm or whatever, right? So I've had the garlic where it's like the fresh kind. I don't know if it's a different variety, but you can actually eat the skin of it for the ones that were grown over there, right? And it's inside is fucking white. Like, I just, people are just fucking stupid. And then if you yeah, whatever, just
But I
fucking,
feel like
I love garlic, by the way.
but in
Full
marketing-
disclosure, like, if anybody would, if there was ever like a garlic farm or whatever that was just gonna send me free garlic for defending them, give it to me. I will DM me and I will give you my address and shit.
I feel like that's a
Ooh.
lore in our podcast.
Asking for
Like,
sponsors.
you mentioned that you love garlic, but
Oh yeah, I eat that shit raw if I could every day. But my wife
like,
hates the smell.
in
so
marketing,
that's
it
why.
makes sense that if you want to solve a problem, you have to create one first, right? So like, if these guys were saying that the garlic that you buy are bleach, then they can just sell you garlic that aren't bleach,
But
which could be the regular garlic.
it's going to
And
be
it's not like they're lying.
no. Well, how are they going to explain that the garlic that they sell already? It'll be white as well. So what are you going to do? You're going to have to like color your own garlic just to try to show people it's not bleach.
Yeah, you'd have the people that would see them side by side and be like, "Hey, they're lying about something here."
You know?
Do you remember those ones where where they have the water and you put your feet in there and then the water starts turning black, and they're saying like, oh, you have all these iron or whatever enzyme in your body, and then they like do something quick on you, and then you do it again, and then the water doesn't turn black, and you're like, oh, it's amazing, I got rid of all that impurity inside of you and stuff.
I don't
Do you remember
remember
those
anything
ones?
like this before.
They're like
I know there is
infomercials.
like situations like that, but I haven't heard of this water thing before.
Like, I think infomercials like I have a buddy who for some reason he falls for a lot of these infomercials, so like he'll buy them. Like, he bought that one with the teeth where you put the gel in the teeth and then you have that blue light and you just stick it on and it turns your white. It's supposed to like bleach your teeth.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Do you remember that one? That one is ridiculous. Like, it made no sense why you would think that would work. But
Is it like a pocket-sized thing of the
Yeah,
actual
pocket-sized thing.
procedure you get to?
You can just
all
get like
crap.
white strips now. Do the same shit.
Yeah, white
Do
strips.
those even work?
White strips works better. I think white strips have some validity. The light thing,
But it's like very
scam.
it's a very temporary thing, right? I don't think it would do any permanent changes.
That's what
Yeah,
I imagine. It's not like you're changing the entire like root of your teeth.
Well, the problem with white teeth is like you can't enjoy anything, right? Like if you enjoy coffee, you're screwed. If you enjoy tea, you're screwed.
You'd have to drink everything with a straw, basically.
Yeah, even then it's not guaranteed. Whatever, man.
Yeah.
Fucking like who gives a shit if how white your teeth are, anyways.
I actually have a friend
Superficial people.
Oh, fucking.
You don't
we talk
know
about
how many
straws-
people. Sorry, I'll just say this.
Oh,
You don't know
sorry.
how many people out there have like on their dating profiles like, oh yeah, I care about the smile. Like first thing you notice about a person, and then their answer's like, oh, their smile, and
Is
stuff
it
like
true?
that.
I don't actually even notice.
It's not like a ton of them, but there are people out there with that.
What do you do when like you're on a date and your date has something in their teeth? Do you like let her know, or do you just pretend not to notice?
I don't
But you
know. I
notice.
feel like you're just targeting Jason with this one.
Well, I haven't had
No,
that
we all been on
situation
dates.
happen on like one of the first dates. That's never happened. But I mean, for later on, like after I've already known the person for a while, I just tell them. But I
Leave
think
it in.
you're-
You would just leave it. You would shove more shit into their mouth, right into the little cracks of the teeth.
No, you use it to your advantage. You just tell them, "Hey, you got something in your teeth. Let me get it out for you."
How about like
with my
friends?
tongue?
Yeah,
How about friends
exactly.
who like
With my
talk
penis.
while they eat? You know, like they chew with their mouths open. Do you let them know that
I
they chew
don't know
with their
anyone
mouth?
that chews with their mouth open.
Ah, okay.
It'll be one of those things that I guess bothers some people or whatever. Would
That's
you?
true.
I don't know. Fucking whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, if it's like fucking shit's coming out of their mouth while they're chewing, yeah, I'd probably say something. But if they're doing it in a way where they're chewing with their mouth open, but it's not like fucking, it's not like that. It's it's still like contained. They're doing their
Yeah.
thing. Whatever. Fuck it.
Oh, okay. You're very flexible.
Yeah. Well, like fucking.
Is that something that's bothered you before?
No. Doesn't bother me. It's because I do it. Doesn't bother me.
Oh, you chew with your mouth open?
I think so. I don't think about it, but I think I may have.
Yeah, some people just unconscious, and it's not a conscious effort. When
Well,
you chew,
chewing
right?
is unconscious, right? So like,
I mean,
yeah.
if you could just manage yourself, right, it's all fine. Like
Well, I assume
sometimes I've
like
talked.
stuff's not spraying out.
Yeah, I've said shit like if it's just like not formal setting, right? You just hang out, whatever. Yeah, I've like fucking talk while they're chewing, whatever. Like yeah, everybody's enjoying like watching. Whatever, like movies or some shit, and you all order pizza. Yeah, fucking whatever. What am I gonna do? Yo, like you get like UFC on pay-per-view, and someone's like cheering while having a slice of pizza. You'd be like, "Excuse me, can you can you shut your mouth as you chew?" No, do that. That'd be fucking insane. That would be an insane person.
Well, it was my idea. Remember back in a long podcast, I was talking about like how do you let your friends know it's kind of late, and I mentioned like I start doing chores when it's getting late. Like I start washing dishes.
Oh,
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
want them to leave your place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you take off your this is my method for telling people that it's time for them to leave. I get up, take off my pants, and start just beating off in there, and then my eyes roll to the back of my head. That's the cue for them to leave.
What would you do if someone stayed?
Fuck it, finish it. They stay for the whole time.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Would you be
Yeah,
upset if you
see,
gave-
oh man, that would be, who would do that? Oh man, that would be uncharted waters. No, the whole thing from its beginning would be already uncharted waters because I've never
would you be
done that.
upset if they give you pointers, or they'd be like, "Oh, that's not how I would do it."
No, that's not, get the fuck out of here.
This is like how a porn would start. A very bad one.
Really? Like you would start with the scene of everybody enjoying their time, and then the host is like, "Well, I want these guys to leave. What should I do?"
Yeah. Hey, I
And then-
wouldn't.
Just
Porn plot
takes off
doesn't
his
have to
pants.
make sense. It's like,
then the
damn, I
kid-
want these guys to leave. What should I
Yeah,
do?
man, don't ever try to make sense of porn. You have ones now where it's like people are like it's like their sister or whatever in the scene. It's like trying to get laundry out of the laundry machine and then they get stuck. He's like, "Oh, little brother, can you help me?" And then he comes in and just fucks her. No,
It's funny. So if porn was on History Channel and the kids watch it and they're like, "Oh, I want to be a plumber," they get all the action because they always go to these houses and women are always stuck under the sink.
yeah, man. Like they send those satellites with bits of like human culture and music or whatever that they send out, right?
Oh,
On
yeah,
a
for
disc.
aliens.
If they ever send
Yeah.
that out, like that like porno scene where like someone gets stuck in a in a washer, brothers and sister, it's like wincest. And they get fucked. Send that out for aliens to see. They will not know what the hell's going on Earth.
When did that become a meta? Like, why is that
They get-
highly viewed?
Yeah, they get bonded. They send bondage porn up there too. It's like, oh, this is this species' way of mating
They're
ritual.
so stupid. Why do they keep getting stuck within their own machinery?
Why does the female have to dress in this very very restrictive outfit as they whip them? I don't see how this propagates the species.
And if they actually were able to translate the languages, they would also wonder, why does this species always mate with their step siblings or step relatives?
They send a crusade like we have to stop them. This is an abomination upon the universe. We have to wipe them out.
I wouldn't blame them either.
So why is incest a thing? Like, why do people enjoy it on the porn?
Oh,
I think
dude,
I read this in a really old Reddit thread of someone asking that exact question, and I think
Yeah.
someone said that it is just a very easy fetish to add to typical porn without any additional costs. It's just basically them just saying the script,
that
"Hey,
makes sense.
stepsister, or stepmom, or whatever,"
Right.
and then they just say that, and then there you hit a fetish, you hit that target. And
That's a very practical
normal people
reason,
watching typical porn, they're still gonna watch it. It's like you still get the P and the V, P and the A, whatever.
Yeah. Because I was watching another one. They did an interview with like a Japanese porn star, and they were asking about like this is American interviewing a Japanese porn star, and they were asking about the censorship and like why do you guys censor and do people enjoy it or whatever, right? And they were saying they censor it. I guess she was saying like sex is illegal in Japan, but if you pretend to have sex, it's okay. So by censoring it, you can't say exactly that she's giving the guy a blowjob or they're having sex.
No.
they're censored.
They already censored the fucking. They already censored before. They just censor like the private parts.
Yeah,
All the private parts. Like they don't even need to be having sex. The private parts are already all censored.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like that chick. It doesn't even know what the fuck's going on in her own country.
Well, it's her industry. I mean, I thought she would know because she's a professional.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're
She
not.
just does it. She doesn't know the
She's not-
history behind it.
Yeah, they're not known for
It's
their
like-
like analytical skills.
It's like you learn how to do a job. It's like, oh, I do this job through using this formula in Excel, but I don't know what the formula does. It's just that kind of thing.
Just input the numbers. That's all she's doing.
Yeah,
She's
they just
inputting.
do it. They don't know the technology and stuff, history behind it.
She clocks in to input the cock, and that's it. She doesn't know what the fuck, why they censor it.
Okay, let me ask you
unprepared.
something then. You might have an answer to this. What I don't know is,
Ooh.
Zinzin, you might know.
Oh, no.
Or Brian, I don't know, maybe. I just don't know. So in some of these Japanese pornos, I have seen, they do censor the private
Yes.
parts, but they don't censor the asshole sometimes until there's penetration.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
The reason why they censor it, from what I know, is just that it's like they just made it a law. I guess it's like it's just it has to do with like some kind of obscenity kind of deal.
Yeah, okay.
So
That
I
makes
mean,
sense.
and
So do
and
they censor
and
it from
it depends on the
anything else?
studio too. Some studios they're known for like having the censor mosaic, what they call it, like really small, like just barely covering everything, and some of them are just like it's just a fucking ball where the fucking shit is supposed to be.
Well, I think
Right.
some censor like like pubic hairs too, right? Like some don't, some do. Like it, like well, you're talking about the size of the
Well,
censorship,
it
right?
depends. Like I think the law is only on the vagina because I've seen ones where they've censored just the vagina and then the pubic hair just fucking awry, just everywhere, and that was not censored, right? So it's
Yeah.
like I feel
Oh,
like
vagina.
I feel like the
Vagina and penis,
guidelines were
right?
just like you gotta censor these, and then it's up to the studios to for how much censoring they put in, and they just have to skirt the line where it's like, okay, well, they just don't want to get in trouble with their fucking whatever regulators or whatever, if they didn't censor at all or they
Do you
censored
think?
too little.
Do you think it's a program, like the program censor, or do you think someone manually has to like censor it and always have to like rewind and watch the same scene again and
I
make
think
sure it
it's
catches?
I think it's a program. Cause there's a lot of amateur porn where they use the same kind of like mosaic technology, the
Yeah.
censoring to blur out people's faces, right? So I think it's just like you run it in the video editing software and then you put on like the fucking mosaic whatever
Maybe it
tool
tracks it.
onto something, right? And then you can tell the really amateur ones, they won't sometimes when like they move positions, it's out of position. So I don't know. Like depends on the software you get if it's like
Oh, like
dynamic
the
or
sensor
not.
hasn't moved yet.
Yeah, so it like they move out of the sensor and you can totally see like everything, right?
I do love those manual like bleeps where you hear the F word and then you hear the bleep.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's very late. But yeah,
it's
they just like every individual studio does their own censoring differently.
So
And
can you tell what studio a scene comes from based on the censorship? Can you like
no,
see
not on the censorship, but you can tell based on like the way they shoot. Definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely tell by the way they
Tell
shoot.
the artistic director.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. I can tell
Yeah,
what studio
yeah,
this is coming
there's directors that have their own style and shit. And
Of course. The
yeah,
real
you can
Hitchcock
tell.
of this industry.
I hate
Yes.
those styles where they're like zooming from the angle like up the guy's butt. Like
Yeah, that one. And that's the worst with the censored one because half of that is just censored. It's just
you're
blurred out
just
mosaic.
you're just watching pixelated. So my question for Jason is, you were saying they censor something when there's penetration. So if something's going in, do they censor when something's coming out?
I think they uncensor it when it's completely out.
No, not the organ. Like I'm talking about like if they poo, like poo, they censor the poo.
Basically,
Oh,
they censor because the dick's going in, right? So that censors more or less is for that dick, but they're just gonna put it in there when they do the anal. They're just gonna put it in there because
So
the
you're
dick's
saying
going in.
the holes never censor. It's just
They usually
penis.
don't censor the ass. And
Okay.
and when they do anal, the dick's going in the ass, so that's why it's censored. Like that part will be censored because the dick,
Yeah.
you know.
One criticism people seem to have with Japanese porn is that they're they're hairy.
Also,
they don't
well,
shave.
no, that's the old ones were more hairier. Nowadays, they're a lot more are shaved. Like
Ah.
it's almost like they flipped the switch. The majority are going to be shaved. Now they have the genre where it's like fucking hairy bush. The hairy bush genre, they have that now.
You're talking about like
They're keeping up with the times.
Yeah, yeah. So most of them are pretty shaved now
okay.
nowadays.
So the hairy is now like a type of his own, like a fetish.
Yeah, it's always they have armpit hair fetish, and then those ones are hilarious because the girls posing on there, they're just showing their armpits and shit on the main cover, just to let you know like this is the jungle edition, right? But I don't know, like a lot of Japanese porn, they're not as big on the anal as the American ones are. There are anal out there,
Yeah. of
but it's
course.
not as widespread as the American ones.
I think Japanese ones, they're more into like weird storylines and stuff than American or whatever.
Just
Where
sounds
American
gross.
ones, they hit other fetishes by the pure act of it,
Yeah.
like anal and stuff.
Do you feel like the storylines are better? Like, do you
No,
think they
they're
do
all
a
they're
lot
all kind of. Well, you know what? No. Yeah, some of them. Well, I don't know, because there's some American ones have had a good story. Like, the director was invested in creating a
Did you feel
memorable
like,
story.
Did you feel like, oh man?
The Japanese ones,
How-
yeah, I've seen some that are pretty, like, actually decent story. It's funny. Like, okay, there's one I watched recently where it's like, the woman, she has like a fetish for older people or whatever, and they show it in the scene where it's like, like she has a photo of her deceased father or whatever, and then she like looks fondly at it, and then she like puts the photo down face down, the photo stand. But she goes online and it shows her the scene where she goes online to search for like the Tinder, but for like for looking for older men or whatever, right? And then she gets a hit from this one. The guy looks like the guy, her dad. It looks like her dad in the photo, right? So
God,
yeah,
so
so she's had daddy issues, but so they meet up, they hit it off, they fuck the first fuck scene, right? It turns out like the house that he invited her to go into wasn't his house. He actually worked there as an employee or whatever, right? Yeah, yeah, man. So then she finds out that it's like oh, he doesn't work there. He's like the butler or the janitor. He was like, he just maintains the property for the younger rich guy, and the younger rich guy was someone that is her acquaintance. They know each other. I think he likes her too. So then he was like, oh yeah, we should go have like fucking coffee or whatever sometime. And then you can see that have the scene where like the old guy is like looking at them from like the corner, and he has like this sad look on his face. He's like, yeah, like I was never gonna amount to anything, Like, of course she'll go for the younger guy. So like she she goes on a date with the younger guy, and to their credit, the director stuck to the script enough that she didn't just go buck wild and fuck everybody. So she didn't have the fuck scene with the younger guy, but like, well, at least he didn't show it. But I guess it was like a mini fast forward where he kind of gives her like, he proposes to her, and then she has this ring, and then she has another like, she meets up with the old guy again, the old guy maintaining the property, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, like of course I lied, but like it was just because whatever reason, I just really wanted to fuck you, I guess. And she's like, oh, I wish you didn't lie to me, but whatever, right? And then she has like this epiphany where she's like, you know what? I really like the fucking old guy. And then it has a scene where she chucks it away or whatever, chucks away the wedding ring, and then she goes to the old guy, and he's like, what? His house, and it's actually a small little apartment thing where he actually lives, and he's like, what? Why are you showing here? And then she's like, oh, I always wanted you because I want fucking old men that look like my dad. So then they fucked. That was the second fuck scene. And then the third fuck scene was the finale was that she shows up again, right? And then he's like, oh, you're here again. And then she shows him the ring, a ring on her finger, right? And he's like, and he thinks, oh, congratulations or whatever, right? But she's like, no, like this, no, I'm marrying you. And she she picks out another ring from her pocket and puts it on his finger, and then they fuck. That's the finale fuck scene.
Oh, it's a romantic story.
It was a wholesome.
That's so much drama.
Old man, young woman.
Wait,
scene.
so how did you figure this all out?
I deduced it, buddy.
How did you find subtitles?
I've seen Japanese porn so long, I can deduce what's going on.
You didn't learn the language at all?
No, I don't know the language at all, but I know the signifiers and shit. I know some of the phrasings and stuff.
That seems like such a long story for only 3 action scenes.
3 fuck scenes. Three fuck scenes is actually the standard for most of these movies.
Well, it's a 3-act thing. That's like a standard for any story, really. But the other thing I was going to say is Japanese has another meta, the time stop meta. Or
yes, where time freezes?
Time freezes.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are great. I've always marveled.
Would you call that acting though? Was that the opposite of acting? Because
I think so. Yeah, some of them
acting.
are really good. So some of the girls, like they try not to blink at all in the scene.
They're not even blinking.
And I would be like, holy shit, when is she gonna blink? And I time it, and like they do pretty good. Like they can only blink
Just
once.
Stare at her eyes.
Yeah, well, they do the best job that they could. And some of them are really good at it, and they have to they don't blink the entire time the camera's on them, and then as long as the camera's off, they blink.
Because you know what's really amazing is there's parts where they'll unstop time, unfreeze it just to get that reaction shot, and then they'll refreeze it.
Yeah.
and the actress has to like switch from like, oh, now I'm feeling it. To,
Yo,
like, nah, I'm
some
not
of them
feeling
are
it.
pros. They're really good at it.
That
Thing is,
sounds
like,
impressive.
Yeah, and then there's also background characters. Like some scenes has background characters, so they have to like show concern, like, oh my god, what's happening? Why are these guys
Oh,
just
they
suddenly
freeze
being
too.
Yeah,
freeze?
they
And
all
then they have to
freeze.
start freeze.
But
and,
it's
yeah.
easier for the background characters because the camera's not always on them. But for the woman,
The star.
it's usually on her. So if you have a scene where and if she's like really committed and she doesn't just she tries to stay as still as she can, like minimal breathing, no blinking, and that's like you got the
Minimal breathing.
yeah, you have the whole the camera's on her the whole time. I'm like holy shit, like I hope she got like fucking paid for this, like really well.
And
I
the
wonder if they have
dude, must-
blooper reels for this kind of stuff.
I imagine so, but I don't think they include blooper reels in a lot of these.
Yeah, I don't think they would include it, but
yeah,
that would
who
be funny to see.
blooper reel?
I mean,
How it was made.
I've just seen like for whatever like congratulatory like edition or like some like anniversary of the actress, they'll have a scene at the end of the movie maybe where they like they give her like the bouquet of flowers. I mean like and then she bows to the camera and says something or whatever like oh thank you to all my fans or whatever and some shit. That's close to a blooper scene, blooper reel I've ever seen. Or it's like the cast special, a special ending scene for from the cast.
Interesting. Well, that's
Yeah,
a nice little
that's-
tribute or whatever, I guess.
Because that's something that you don't see as much in the American.
No, no,
I
no,
don't think
they
you
don't
see
have that.
blooper reels in any porn, really.
Aside from the laugh track porn I told you guys about last time.
Yeah, I don't think that qualifies as a blooper. They
Nope.
just do that on
No,
purpose.
that was awful, but good at the same time.
So bad it's good.
Yeah,
Or the other way around, I don't know.
So good it's bad.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. No, you know what? I have a good distinction for between our canon episodes and filler episodes. Our canon episodes are the ones where we have topics to talk about beforehand. I would characterize it like that.
Like the Andrew Yang one.
Yeah, or whatever. A lot of-
UBI?
yeah. Those would be canon and fillers. Just like we just go on. Because
I never really prepare for any episodes.
Jason's filler
so-
every day.
I think
Yeah.
I think that one time we were talking about chess AIs, about drawing, and we go delve into AI. I think that was a good.
Oh
Pop
yeah, yeah. If this is probably something that you wanted to make canon. Did chess? I hear chess and it's like, yeah, this is something that you wanted to talk about.
Well, actually, do you want me to talk about Tetris? I read about Tetris.
Oh, the new shit. Oh, come on.
Riveting.
Just tell everybody to watch a video and that'll be it. You don't have to spend the next 15 minutes to explain.
That's the same with a lot of stuff Brian talks about.
Just watch
It's
the
all
video.
just stuff from a video.
He summarizes a video.
Well, I'm telling you, so if you have interest, then you will watch the video, and you'll be like, oh yeah.
No, hey, do you have a fucking take on it?
No, well.
Okay,
my take about-
we're not gonna talk about it. If you don't have
my
a
big
take on.
take about classic Tetris is just how gatekeeping it is. That's my big take on it. That's all.
All
Okay.
right, I'll
Like
fight.
you
What
guys know.
behind
what
the
classic-
gate-
Here, I'll do it. So let's see if we can cut down on time. It's just like a method of playing Tetris on the NES controller, where it's like this rolling method where it's like you're fucking using your fingers and basically doing like a consecutive tapping with your fingers, like or whatever, right? And it's just a way faster input than how you would usually use a controller, right? And then you can make the fucking big plays in Tetris using that, really fucking fast. Yeah, the really fucking fast inputs just by fucking drumming basically it's like a drumming motion with your fingers.
It's
as you
like
roll
pianoing. It's
Yeah.
another method.
Yeah, you know how nimble those piano player fingers are? Those guys are using the same method, but it's like tapping like the back of the controller to get that crazy machine gun fucking button pushing motion. That's basically it. Before Brian spends like
Okay,
a longer
so-
time than the video itself
He's gonna
explaining
go
what
into
it
it.
is.
So my gripe about classic Nintendo Tetris is that the gatekeeping is you need Nintendo and the classic controller. And the thing is, Nintendo aren't making these items anymore. So people who want to get into the scene has a natural barrier because you have to find the classic Nintendo and the Tetris and the controller, right? And so those are becoming more rare over time. And so the whole idea of this rolling method that we're talking about is because the controller is so archaically designed that like you have to figure out these techniques to play on this rustic controller, right? Because like if classic Tetris was on other platforms, say like a PC where people can use any controllers, then you would start seeing arcade cabinet sticks, right? Or like keyboards and things. And then at that point, the rolling method might not even be a viable method because of other peripherals. You can do whatever method you want. And then that will open the floodgates of newer players. Because right now, the player base, while it is big, it's kind of constrained based on people who have access to the system, right? Like, I think there was a kid in the Philippines who had to be sponsored to play competitively in classic Tetris because he couldn't afford a classic Nintendo and the controller to play.
So let me just interject with a question, just to make sure I have something clear here. So I assume that there's Tetris tournaments and stuff, and they are just using the official equipment, so other people can't just use whatever they want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way the setup is that it's a head-to-head battle. Like you're always playing against someone, and so you would have two systems with the classic Tetris and two TVs, like old like CTR TVs, and then you have a game genie in the middle that will feed the same tiles to both players. So when you're playing against someone, you have the exact same tiles they have.
Makes sense.
So that's the way they make it fair.
So why not just evolve the tournament scene into incorporating other systems rather than just
well, that's
Nintendo?
that's the scene. Like scenes have their own rules, right? And one of their rules is to keep it that classic nature. So it's the gatekeeping.
Pure. Everything else is heretic.
Yeah.
Heretical.
But it's a old mentality, right? It's kind of like back in like fighters. Like I play fighting game, and our old mentality back then was game controllers was the weaker player, like a sign of a weaker player if they're using like a PlayStation controller or like, you know what I mean?
The discrimination will creep.
But then the new meta now is the strongest players are players who play on controllers because so now people are saying like you can't use that as the distinction of who's strong or who's weak. It's like people use whatever they want, kind of thing. And so,
it's probably that was the case always, except you just had some elitists and purists that just insisted that whatever way they liked was the way.
It's the whole elitism thing.
I would rather that these people just. They're not hurting anyone if they're just using their insanity, just containing it in games. It's when these people become in like fucking in the seats of power in government and shit. That's when these types of people are awful. If they were just like, okay, I just want to fucking be a little tyrant in my little fucking Tetris scene, then that I would encourage that. Everybody that's a freak like that. They should just go hardcore into like fucking game tournaments instead of pursuing a life in politics.
Oh, so you would be upset if someone in politics was a Tetris champion? Like...
No, I wouldn't. I would. First of all, they would just be a Tetris. No, it's not just playing games per se, but people that insist on like a pure or like it's like a stupid like reactionary like mindset. But I'd rather just use that and just use all that energy and fucking do it on something that like games. You know?
When you talk about pureness, I thought it was funny because like I heard of the story of a doctor who had a lot of people cancel the AstraZeneca appointment because of the news.
Yeah.
But then when they hear the other news about cases rising, suddenly all the calls started flooding back in, saying like, "Oh, I'll take it," kind of thing. Because then they were like, "Well, I don't want to die." Kind of thing.
Yeah, that should have been the first thing in the first place. It's like, oh, what, you scared? Like, what, the point whatever 0.00 whatever chance that you get a vaccine side effect to the, like pretty much 100% chance that you're gonna get sick and transfer it to someone that won't be able to survive the virus.
So, we recently talked about, not recently, but a while back, we used to talk about things like panic buying and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Like at the start of the pandemic. But we never really mentioned that countries did that with vaccines. Like US basically panic bought all the vaccines.
Yeah, we mentioned it last time. We just didn't go into detail. But yeah,
Yeah,
like,
so, but we never mentioned that there's a system that we've also developed as a nation or as a United Nation with COVAX, where we're supposed to pool all our vaccine and then redistribute
well,
it,
we
right?
did, right? We did talk about
Wait,
it.
wait.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
We
sorry.
said that there's like a UN well, World Health Organization, COVAX program and shit, right? But I said
Yeah.
like most of the countries are just hoarding up a lot of the, especially the
But-
Pfizer and Moderna ones,
But the
because
COVAX came too late, like because
no,
they did that.
COVAX was always a thing. No, COVAX was always a thing. It's not really a new thing either. It's like it has its roots in just the normal vaccination.
But then, how is COVAX doing its job when
Because
it
that
can't even
usually-
prevent people from if it can't prevent countries from panic buying?
Because the world as we live in it, it's not like the United Nations or any of these international institutions have any real power. Real power is always within the country itself, and especially in the context of the United States, they decide all that shit, right? Like, here's an example. Like, you always hear about like the International Criminal Court or whatever, right? That the UN has, right?
What's international criminal?
It's like
we have
it's kind of
international
like to
criminals?
prosecute. It's kind of a way. It's kind of like it was born from like the World War II, like Nuremberg tribunals or whatever, right? Where the victorious Allies, they basically wanted to hold court for all the Axis, notable
I see.
people from the Axis, and hold court and sentence them and give them trials and shit, right? For the Holocaust, for the Japanese atrocities and all that. So
Yeah.
kind of like
It's basically everyone wants a piece of them for the punishment.
Yeah.
I want to be part. I want to be part of his misery.
Yeah, so
That's
it's kind of birthed with the UN itself, where they have this international court, right? That's and more or less like the idea is to try criminals on an international scale, like it's like Slobodan Milosevic from Yugoslavia. They try that in like this like quote unquote like international court or whatever, right?
Wait, what did he do?
Well, he was the one. He was a Serbian. He was the leader of Serbia at the time when like that whole Yugoslavian thing went down, right? And he, I guess he was responsible for a lot of like, I guess war crimes against Bosnians, Muslim
do I-
Bosnians especially.
How would you identify someone who would go to international court versus not? Like, for example,
It's basically okay. There's not like a fucking legal definition. It's basically it's just based on power. Like the NATO United States went in, fucked them up, and then they just those guys are the ones that hauled them up into this trial, right? It's all backed by actual power. There's no UN police, there's no UN military, it's just a UN it's just this club of all these countries that it provides like a forum for all these countries to be in and at least I don't know fucking talk or some shit, right? That's why we have a Security Council, because it's made up of all the strongest like influential more or less countries that came out from World War II or whatever along those lines. I'm simplifying it a lot, but
yeah,
basically everybody on the UN Security Council has nukes, right? Everybody there are like serious players. You don't like the permanent ones, like the 5 permanent
you make
ones.
it sound like they have chips in the table
Because
like a poker chip.
Because the UN Security Council is one of the only bodies that can deliberate whether they should intervene militarily or not, right? And but it's everybody wants to complain about it because all you need is one veto from any member on the council to kibosh all the plans. But it is there, right? And so like the whole thing, everything in the world is underpinned not by institutions, it's underpinned by power. And
you feel like veto is just like a silly thing that we invented for democracy, because like by having veto,
yeah, it's really stupid for an individual country. But when you have countries nuclear powered countries, like nuclear weapons possessing countries, like fucking if they have anything contentious with each other, yeah, veto power is at least the bare minimum that they all agreed upon, right? So I mean, like that's yeah, veto power is stupid in it has a lot of stupid and abusive properties inside your own country as in governance. But when you're talking about like, fucking powers that are, like they try to keep each other in check, veto is much more preferable than them just start firing at each other, right? But I'll
I
tie
feel like if we're not gonna work together, might as well not pretend. Like just is like, let's pretend to work together, but
yeah,
I'm
but
not happy with it.
the veto on the international like level, it's just to it's basically there just so you have you can stop something or you can like stop collective whatever like I don't know how to describe it, like
Okay, I'm
inertia movement
distracted.
whatever. It's basically just to stop fucking powers from going to war against each other, right? Because you got a veto. You
Oh,
can
okay, okay.
stop you can stop like a collective like a UN action over something, right? Like it's to respect each other's power basically, right? That's the nature of like a UN Security Council veto. So by its design, like yeah, it's not meant to get things done, but it's meant to be like a place where I don't know. It's meant to make it so like the powers don't fucking go to war with each other, in a way. But anyways,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tie into Kovacs for a second, but I wanted to point out why like institutions don't really matter. With this international court, when the U.S. invaded Iraq back in 2003, right? The international after a while when it turned to shit, and it was very unpopular, and everybody knew that fucking like there was no WMDs, and like everybody's sitting there awkward, be like, oh, I guess they just totally went in there for no reason and actually just fucked someone up, right? And everybody's kind of nervous. International court, they had like I guess like a deliberation or something, or like it wasn't really a trial, but they basically said, oh, maybe we should take the Americans, maybe we should have some kind of like accountability. Maybe we should have the Americans try to come to the international court and answer and for something, right? And then George Bush straight up said like yeah, if anybody wants to, like, I'm giving authorization for the United States military that if any fucking world court international UN body feels like they want to be fucking stupid and try to fucking put any American on trial, we will totally invade the fucking the Netherlands where I think is the Netherlands where the world court is situated. Like they just straight up said like, yeah, fuck you, right? So that's where the real power is. The real power in the world is in power, right? It's not in institutions. And COVAX is exactly the same thing. Like they can say as much as they want, like, hey, everybody try to pull as much vaccine resources into COVAX and let's distribute it this way. Yeah, but if the Americans and the British and whoever are just like, no, they can't do anything. It's
So, is it important to still have it? Like, why do we have it?
because
Huh.
it
What does
is
it
a
do?
way, like just because like it's like just because fucking it's power is just within in the world is recognized by power doesn't mean you don't have these things, at least, right? It doesn't mean you can't have a UN or a World Health Organization or all these things or whatever, right?
You're telling me just because it doesn't work doesn't mean we shouldn't have
Well,
it.
no, that's the
Just
whole
wait.
point. Is it's not that it doesn't work. It's always
Okay.
in a weakened position, but that doesn't
It doesn't. Okay.
But
Yeah,
doesn't
fine.
mean like it doesn't mean like, oh, they do anything. Like they do start the Kovacs thing, right? There is literally a framework. Like if you got rid of them, what are you gonna do? You'd have to start from scratch. Why reinvent the wheel? You already have this thing.
All right, fine. Well, at least maybe they should make their agenda more attainable for themselves.
No, they can't.
They
It's
should
just
advertise.
they can't because it's like they don't Kovac the UN Kovacs, they don't have fucking authority. And by authority, I mean like they don't have like a military arm to enforce anything.
Exactly. So what I'm
Enforcement
trying to
is
say
always
is
by
they
actual
shouldn't
power.
sell the idea like, hey, this is our plan. We want to collect da. They should say like, we're gonna wait until all the rich country gets their fair share or get their share because they bought it, and then will redistribute it to the poor people. Like they
I
should
mean,
just
you're just being a
follow
fucking
us straight.
stooge at that point, right? I mean, like, what they're not really interested in power play. It's just Kovacs has all the guys, all the international specialists that are in like vaccinations and shit, and they work with epidemiologists, and they're basically there. Like they say, this is what it should be, right? They can come out with a plan and be like, oh, this is what a framework would look like. But it's up to the individual countries to actually go about it, right? But that doesn't mean that you should just get rid of that fucking entire body in the first place. You know?
I don't know. I'm that type of person where if I feel like it's impossible, I just don't do it. Like
Okay, then like when you drive your car, is it pedal to the metal all the time? Or what?
no,
Do you
like,
even stop?
like if I
Like okay,
if I'm
well, like
driving,
like no,
and
I'm
if
just.
I-
I just
Okay,
like
but-
I just if you play it out, it
Yeah.
won't you don't even do this in real life. Like what? Do you actually just go pedal to the metal every time you drive? When you step on the brakes, do you step on the brakes all the way to the floor? No, right? Like it's not just one way or another. It's
But
degrees
if I
of
know,
whatever.
like, if I'm driving, I see the yellow, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna make it. I'm gonna stop, right? It's like I give up. I don't, even if I could have made it, if I really tried, if I really believe that I'm not gonna make it, I would just stop, right?
It's just like why even bother having a fire department when most of the houses burn down before the fire department can stop the fire? You know, like this is the same logic. You would be like, what's the point of having the fire department? Just let the house burn down. It's gonna burn down anyways. There's no point in having a fire department.
I would say we should divert our efforts to something that would be more meaningful.
But
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. If our fire, if it's proven to shown that like fire department don't really help with fires, then maybe it'd be better to not have fire departments and have fire prevention departments, right?
and it'll be like,
then-
oh, there's a lot of people that don't make it in the fucking that don't make it in the ambulance to the hospitals. Might as well just not have the ambulance. Might as well not even have the hospitals. You know, there's a lot of people that don't make it, even if they are in the hospitals, especially if,
Actually,
like.
at some point in India, they're gonna have to decide who lives and who.
Okay, so yeah,
doesn't.
so like in India right now, there's no room in the hospital, so should we just not have hospitals? Most of them are just gonna die in their houses, in their homes. Why even have hospitals at that point? Let's just go all in. The hospitals are not working; they failed. We should just get rid of all of them.
That's what I was thinking about counts. You know how like they're saying like we're getting these many more cases, like at the point where India's like on fire.
Yeah.
Do they stop counting? They're just like let's just assume everyone has COVID.
Oh,
It's
it's like widespread, not like
it's like widespread.
it's
like,
widespread, not like
they
back then
still
they were accusing China of this, right? Like they were accusing,
Right.
oh, they're undercutting, but then they're like, okay, we're not, because you're pulling all this out of your ass, and then now you know what real undercounting is. Like people just literally, you live in the information age. Everybody has their cell phones. Like the guys at the mortuary, they're like, yeah, bodies are coming in without and on their death certificate, if it doesn't come from the hospital, it won't say COVID. Like they just straight up say it. Like this is why you can't hide shit. Like if India,
Wait,
you could tell
so
they're
are you
totally
telling
undercounting.
me they're just fudging the numbers is what you're telling me?
Basically, they're not. It's either deliberate or not deliberate, but they just don't count anything that wasn't like confirmed dead at a hospital by a doctor from COVID. They won't count it as COVID. So that's why they, like a lot of them, if they died on the street, because they didn't get
They'll
enough
just say
oxygen,
gang related.
or not gang, they just say they died on the street. It's like it's not officially counted as COVID. Like the government
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have that tally for people that just died on the street and got
Right,
got
but,
rushed
like,
to cremation.
For like testing, do they still have testing? Like I feel like there's so many numbers, like so many people getting it.
I don't know,
like-
man. Like
If everything is positive, you just like, why do we do this? Why don't we just say it's all positive?
I think the rule of thumb is basically if your country's on fire, your statistics might not be that reliable at the moment when everything's on fire.
Like I'm just saying, as a slacker, like if you work in India and you're the guy testing the results to figure out if someone has COVID or not, and on the news is saying like we have all this pandemic and everyone's getting sick, do you just say like, hey guys, let's just classify them all as COVID and just go home? Like it's not like we're that wrong, right? Like if let's say 10 out of 9
I think the thing is they don't even have the resources to go out and like verify accounts or whatever, right? It's not even that their high priority right now because everything is so out
exactly.
of whack. But like
exactly, their priorities. I mean, like the numbers are just so ridiculous.
But like so it's not even that, it won't even be that big of a deal. But for them, it will just be needlessly shooting themselves in the foot because it looks bad for them if they have big numbers, right? So that's why they don't want to say, "Oh, everything's COVID." Let's just say everything's COVID and be done with it, because it looks bad at the same time. So there's incentive for them to be like, like the country's in a mess anyway. So then it's like realistically, they're not going to be able to get their handle on the numbers yet. And even if they could, at this point, I don't think they want to, right? And the whole reason, like it's an open secret, it's because they're coming. Everybody's basically saying this. Everybody in the position and even like dealing with these at the places where they're supposed to cremate, or even the hospitals themselves, they're just saying they are just confirming that, right? So you have the proof there, like people that are on the ground that are in these are doing the jobs and also are like fucking, I guess, taking responsible for keeping the tallies and whatnot. They're saying they're just saying it. They're like, yes, this is true. We're totally fucked. We're totally overwhelmed right now. So yeah, chances are, if you didn't die in a hospital, you might not get counted as COVID. They will have no way to even get to you. They don't even have a way to factor you in there.
So in this point, like they're at this, like I assume they're the worst that any country has been, right?
Yeah, this was back then when I said like, you shouldn't be thrown off because young people don't usually die from this. And I said like, the death rate or whatever, it should not be the thing that people fixate on. It should be the healthcare infrastructure. It should be like your health system, whether you can handle it or not. If we remember back in those episodes, that's what I said, right? And that's the common sense thing. That's what they tell. That's what the health officials tell everybody, right? Because it's like,
don't
this
let
is
your health system die.
Yeah, like COVID. Yeah, don't just be fucking dismissing just the death rates or whatever, or seeing that young people are usually fine. You're supposed to see like if your health system can handle all of this, because once it starts to collapse, then even people that could have been treated and would have been fine, they're going to be in much worse of a situation. And this is worst case scenario is happening in India right now, like the scenario that everybody already warned everybody about. So it's not something new.
So you're right. What I'm trying to say is, they're at this point. Should they start being more radical and be like,
yes,
vaccine is no longer the answer, just herd immunity kind of thing?
No, I mean, because a lot more people are like.
Wait, you already said yes though.
No, I said radical. Yeah, yes to radical, not to fucking just like, oh yeah, all or nothing to one thing. They basically like, here's the problem. Here it's a very all aspect problem. The reason why India, like the excuse that a lot of BJP supporters, which is BJP is the current ruling party that Narendra Modi, the prime minister, is the head of. The ruling party BJP, their fans, when they say like, why isn't the country locking down, basically like they did last year. When BJP locked down the whole country back then, if you recall, India also went through like a big crisis then, because there's a lot of poor people that were basically they couldn't get back home anymore because they usually travel long distances to work in completely different cities from where their usual family is at, right? So when they locked everything down, they were shit out of luck. So it's like, oh fuck, they either have to make the trek back to their hometown, or they're in their little ghetto shanty towns and they have nothing to survive by, right? So when they locked down back then, it was done in such a way where everything was just everybody was shitting bricks, and it was such a disaster. So they say, oh, we're not locking down this time because we want to be more humane, right? We want to be more smarter about it. That's why we're not locking down. But the problem is that you should lock down. It's just that India fucked up their lockdown last time. They're hesitant to lock down again because they bungled the whole thing. So in their memory, they only have bad memories about it, and they're so
about the lockdown.
Yeah, about locking down.
They didn't see the benefit. They only
because BJP bungled it, and so lockdown was like fucking hurting everybody at the same time, right? But the lockdown did. Well, I guess it wasn't even that effective because fucking people were going out anyways, right? So that's what they're saying. Like that's why they're hesitant to do a lockdown. But in this radical case, that's exactly what you should do. Like you should. at this point when the country's basically on fire, you should absolutely lock down. Just India has not figured out. Well, BJP and Modi have not figured out how to lock down like in a better way, you know. So that's what they're kind of. And
So your radical idea is to lock down.
the radical
You're like,
idea is just to basically do what all the other successful countries do and just do it firmly. That's even it's not even that radical, but BJP, but the Indian government, the BJP Modi, they're fucking up. They literally this is caused by them, right? Like you saw the news like before then, like weeks before they had big religious festivals. They had festivals where they threw fucking colored dye. Some areas, some states had festivals where you're supposed to throw cow shit at each other. Like I'm not joking. It's a for real festival. I even sent you the video where everybody's throwing cow shit at each other, right? And then like they all had that. Like he encouraged it, and then the super spreader. It was obviously now this is the result of it, right? And they're also going through like sort of their own kind of midterm election right now in a lot of states. So and he encouraged everybody to go out and fucking vote,
oh,
go out and take part in religious festivities, go out and throw shit at each other, right? Like this was literally like the people in India that are his critics. Like there are a lot of them right now. They're like, yeah, the government basically caused this, and right now they basically abandoned them because they had like more than a year to prepare to ramp up everything, right? To be like, okay, what if there is a second wave? Can our hospitals handle it? Do we have enough of this? Do we have enough of that? Should we, like, don't open up everything all at once? Instead they're like, they got cocky and they're like, oh yeah, totally, we beat it. We beat it with flying colors. Fuck it. Everybody go out and fucking party, right? And then they fucking get wrecked, right? Like this is the worst that any country's ever seen yet. Like this problem, the blame is like almost 95% just basically their government and how they fucked everything up. Like
they still have the highest population, right?
yeah, and
How many do they have to lose before they're no longer number one?
No, China right now is the highest population. India's probably in the next 10 years going to surpass them. But yeah, I guess this will put a little bit of a damper on that. I don't know. I like it's cause they're saying like the count could be anywhere like 5 times higher than the official counts right now. I mean, like it's anybody's guess, right? Because it's such a fucked up state right now, and it's just literally it's what hell on earth would kind of look like.
I mean, there's like advertisement asking for doctors to come and help. Like, I wonder if they even feel safe.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole black market thing going on for just oxygen and shit, right? Like, over there, like people are paying. This is just basically the price for life in
Oxygen.
Yeah,
Wow.
because that's one of the main things. They have an oxygen shortage for people that need.
It's weird because when you look in the sky, you're like, there's tons out here, man.
Yeah, then they need like the breathing, the oxygen breathing machines
Yeah, I getcha.
to like get more oxygen into those lungs that are getting ravaged by COVID, right?
Yeah.
And, you have people that if they had the proper care, if they had enough oxygen, most of them could have made it, but a lot of them are just dying in the streets.
Because
they're dying
when
in
we look
like they're bringing them in rickshaws and shit, right? Or they're leaving people out on the street because they can't deal with it. The hospitals can't deal with it.
So the thing is, like, they're nowhere close to getting vaccines, right? Like,
No, they only have
because we mentioned that it's being hogged by the rich, the rich countries. So like, if there's no hope of them getting the vaccine,
No, they do. No, India actually manufactures a lot. They have a lot of vaccine manufacturing capacity, because a lot of vaccines, even before the pandemic, a lot of vaccines and pharmaceuticals get produced there, right? So they have the infrastructure in place, and they were manufacturing the AstraZeneca vaccine in their their production facilities, right? So they were exporting vaccines. Modi was catching flack because just a couple months ago he was boasting that India will provide all the vaccines for the world or whatever, right? He was just basically committing vaccines for all these countries. Like, yeah, India will provide these. India will be the shining beacon of vaccines for the world, right? And then, so it was kind of like, like the vaccine rollout in India was kind of slow too, because like there's a substantial amount of stock that was just being exported out, right? And then now this is happening, and it's come back to bite them in the ass, right? So they have the vaccine production capabilities, but it's not enough to vaccinate everybody in this time period right now. It takes time. Even with their capacity, you can't vaccinate like 1 billion Indians in a short amount of time.
So, what's the likelihood of a solution for them? Like, you're saying they should all lock down, but do you think that's...
I mean, if it gets worse, I think if they get like,
do you think?
I think if they get like,
yeah,
I think if they get to literally like 1 million people getting infected a day, if they start hitting those records, I think they'll lock down. Okay. I think they'll.
You think they'll be?
They have no choice.
You think their hands will be forced that they have to take the most extreme measure?
Yeah, I think their hands will be forced that they will take the.
You don't think herd immunity is a thing for them?
There's always a chance. Like BJP is one of those parties where it is like a reactionary populist reactionary party, right? Where there's like a Trumpian party.
It's like, guys.
Yeah, it's not real. They'll just say it's a hoax. Yeah, they'll just say it's a hoax. They'll be like, yeah, this is a fucking hoax. Whatever, fuck it. And a lot of BJP fanboys would believe that shit, right? Like, so I mean, like, they could go either way.
If they were saying it's a hoax, don't they need to blame someone? Would they just say like, yeah, it's our buddy, the Pakistans, who have killed us?
I mean, they could try, but it's like no one would believe them right now, right? Especially right now, like no one would take. They don't want to say something too stupid because right now everybody's like glaring at them, right? So they want to be like, oh, I'm just 100% committed and busy with trying to save everybody right now, and that's all they'll say for this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Blame and whatever may come later, if it comes. Right. I think because you can't hope to win an election if this is what you're facing right now, right? So what they're concerned about is like, we want to be able to win the next election, so we can't just go tell everybody to just fucking get fucked, drop dead, right? This is just a hoax, like so.
Like in the world when like if everyone's doing okay and like we have this huge disaster, we see a lot of world of efforts into helping that one country, but when everyone's kind of dealing their own problems, like having their own COVID issues, do you see any support from the world?
They are giving like publicly they're saying stuff like we'll donate,
donating oxygen.
But small, it's token stuff, but it's I guess you can say
it's like $1 to a street president. It's like, here you go, buddy.
Yeah,
hope you get better.
I mean, it's understandable, right? Like everybody else is still dealing with their own problems, and people. I guess if you want to assume people have their best intentions at heart, you can say they're trying to help in any way they can. But obviously, it's not going to do anything, right? This is all gestures, because there's no way that you can help this country. Like 1 billion people. There's no way you can. There's no amount of fucking contribution you can give to solve this problem. India, the government completely shit the bed on this, right? They had like this. I mean, I'm interested to see how they spin this after this is done. Like, this is one of the biggest monumental fuck ups like on display, right? Because you can't bullshit away. Like, people are burning bodies out in parking lots because they just no room. It's overflowing, right? Like that. I'm curious to see what kind of political party can try to spin that.
Do we collect that data for carbon footprint? Do we add that to them? Do like, this year you burn a lot of bodies?
I don't know. It probably would be. There's like the smog right now in Delhi is from funeral fires.
What was that smog before? Didn't that
cars and shit before? And coal?
No, that was another one. I think it was like farmers burning their land.
Okay, yeah.
Remember that one time they had that huge smog issue because I forgot what they were
I think
burning.
New Delhi in particular is notorious for a lot of smog issues. You know, like
Yeah.
just like how Beijing was, right? Like Beijing still has pretty bad days, but it's a lot better nowadays. You know, so
I thought it was weird when I was in Beijing and every day was cloudy, but it
yeah,
was just smog.
yeah, it's all that, especially Beijing because it's in that basin where like a lot of air kind of like gets trapped there, so you get a lot of smog from the nearby coal plants, especially in winter. So yeah, the air quality was uh, traditionally pretty bad there. So
Yeah.
like Delhi, I imagine is the same thing. It's situated in that part where a lot of the air gets trapped there.
Well, and also they're like China and India. They also had a lot of developing stuff with natural
Yeah, lots
fossil
of
fuels and
coal.
stuff.
Yeah, lots of
Yeah,
coal.
and coal. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, so your prediction is things will get worse before it will get
it
better.
definitely is getting worse before it get. There's no sign of it plateauing yet. Like they're just basically, yo, you're fucked. You're you know, like I don't know. They just gotta wait. They gotta wait and see. They're every day they're just looking at it and they're looking at the numbers and they're saying, "Are we peaking yet?" Basically, is the question. Some of
So
the states, like okay,
it's
so,
like the GameStop kind of thing. They're
yeah,
just going up and up and up.
some of the states are doing okay. Like India is made up of a whole bunch of different states, right? Majority of them are getting fucked. Delhi
Yeah.
is the one where they said it's embarrassing because Delhi is their capital, is usually one of the most developed cities, right? Delhi and Mumbai. And if Delhi is experiencing this, you know, a lot of other places are shit out of
Isn't
luck.
Mumbai super rich?
Yeah. Mumbai is pretty, yeah, it's a rich coastal city.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like those two cities, like if they can't deal with something, then the rest of India usually has no shit out of luck. Some
Oh, Sri
states,
Lanka seems okay.
Sri
'Cause they're
Lanka is
on
not
the
part of India, though.
okay, never mind. That's why they're okay.
They have some states that are doing okay. Like if I Kerala is one of the states in the south, and what they kind of did was they actually prepared. So they prepared, like they didn't have an oxygen shortage. It was one of like the only states in India that didn't have an oxygen shortage. And I think and pretty much one of the reasons was because it's not ruled by the BJP. That state was it's funny. That state, the ruling party of that state, can you guess what party that is?
I don't know Indian politics.
It's just throw out a random one from the stuff that we've talked about in the past.
Republicans.
No. That state is run by an Indian Communist Party. And that
Oh, I
state
see.
and that state is actually doing better than is actually not getting wrecked as much as the rest of the country.
Communist was my second guess.
Communist.
I think Jason would have got communist.
He said he was going to duck out in the second half. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm eating, so
Oh,
this was
nice.
good timing. So
Oh, good.
I'll still be listening at least.
Oh, nice. Or what are you eating?
Vietnamese food.
Nice.
Nice.
Homemade or you bought it?
I bought it.
Nice.
Wait, is Jason Vietnamese?
I'm half.
Oh, nice. I didn't know.
I didn't mean to derail. Well, I guess you put this on me, but
I put this on.
you can keep talking.
Well, we just know that India's fucked. And that Kovacs is a hoax. Well, it's not a hoax, but it's
Yo,
I only
anybody
heard
that's
about Kovacs like recently, so that's why to me I thought it was new. But it sounds like they've always existed and they've always been ineffective.
yeah, well, not ineffective. It's just been it's just subordinate basically to like whatever country, right? It's
Almost
subordinate
like
to the powers in the world.
It's like a charity thing. Like it's like they can't operate unless they get donation,
Yeah.
and if no one's donating,
Then they're
there's
shit out of
nothing they
luck,
can do.
right? They can't go and grab the fucking
Okay,
supply.
I shouldn't say they're ineffective. Like a charity, they're things people think of when they have excess. So when we have excess of vaccine, we'll donate to Kovacs. But
Yeah.
until then, like, good luck.
Yeah, it's I mean, there's some problems that you get with the Pfizer and Moderna anyways, right? Because of the expensive and high maintenance storage arrangements,
Is
right?
AstraZeneca not as high maintenance?
I
Like
don't
you
think so. I think AstraZeneca is a little bit more forgiving.
because there's also MNR, right? I thought it was also MNR.
I don't know. I don't know the details. I just
Um,
don't see. I just don't read. I haven't read anything about like them having as much, storage and fucking requirements as the other two big
should
ones.
we worry that India might mutate COVID?
That's everybody's worrying about, right? Like the newest hottest variant is from there, right? The double mutation one.
Yeah.
Like the more it spreads, that's always gonna have that chance of mutating. So
Would there be a scenario where the unions like we got to deal with this and think of like
ideally, that's what the mindset should be, right? It's like, oh, if you take care of it within your borders, you still have the rest of the world to think about, right? You're not
yeah
just separated in empty space. You all live on this planet. It's if you're all good, but someone else is going out of control and it mutates into something that just makes the vaccines ineffective, then you'd be fucked, right? So it's in everybody's interest that India also stops, fucking getting wrecked, right? But it's not like anybody can do anything about it.
there's a lot of
It's up
there's
to
a lot of
India.
news articles. Sorry, I just I thought it's like there's a lot of news article that blames the rich country for what's happening in India, which seems kind of unfair, right?
No, yeah,
Because
this is like I said, vast the vast majority of the blame is just on that government itself. Like
yeah,
you take the richest countries in the world, pull them together, they won't be able to contribute anything to stem this. There's just too much
yeah,
people in India, right? Like if China got fucked, like no, the rest of the world would not be able to save them, right? Like literally, China, like a country like China, a country like India, they have to be able. Their responsibility is to make sure that they can handle these things, right?
oh yeah, with China for vaccines. I'm seeing videos of them saying their efficacy rate is not as good, and that people aren't taking the vaccine in China because they don't feel like it's good enough.
I
And
think
then there's like bribery. Well, not bribery, but there's
I showed you. Yeah,
incentives.
they're trying to give like ice cream to people to take
Ice
the
cream,
vaccine.
yeah, yeah,
They're for them is basically like the mindset of like, oh, we have everything contained, so I don't know, like yeah, like there's no point in getting the vaccine or whatever, right? The government at some point, maybe after the government seeing this, they'll be like, yeah, you should really take the vaccine. Maybe they'll just start saying like everybody should take the vaccine.
Why do they like? Why can't the government just start
They could.
just
It's
make up
just
fake news and say like, hey, there's an outbreak. Hurry up! and
no,
get your
they don't do
vaccine,
that.
Just take the numbers.
Ironically, the government, the state-run news, the last thing they want to do is like fucking put out some shitty fake news because that is basically their credibility and their reputation on the line, right? Like it's much easier to lose all that than to gain it back. So
Oh, I
like,
see.
so a lot of that is like, if they report biased news, yeah, but they can't just straight out just lie to the fucking people, right?
There's certain ways we can lie, but straight up
I
lying.
mean, okay, and the vaccine kind of thing is kind of it's a whole bunch of bullshit. It's like
Yeah.
yeah, it's the lowest one out of like compared to Moderna, Pfizer, right? But it's like what? It's like what's the number back then was like 70 or something, right? And now they come up with this new one that was this one was interesting because they're like, yeah, they're saying, oh, one of the top health officials of China said it's not effective enough or whatever, right? And that it
Yeah.
needs to mix. But like this is another one of those cases where they're literally just pulling the wool over it. They're bullshitting you. Like the guy even came out and was like, that's not what I said, and they put the transcript out of the
Oh, the mixing? Yeah, I did read headlines about the mixing.
No, yeah,
that's mistranslated.
yeah, it's
Or
totally mixed.
misquoted?
He never said like, oh, he never said like, oh, the vaccine shit or whatever, right? He did where all the news was saying like, oh, the efficacy is. He admits the vaccine is not good. The efficacy is low, but he didn't say that. He was basically saying like, and in it, the gist was, in the future, like all the vaccines that we have in the world circulating, we might look towards mixing them because that would give advantages even if it's Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, if you mix the vaccines, he was saying like you could boost efficacy even that way, like looking at how the virus
But
mutates or some shit like that.
that's unethical because they haven't tested that. Like you don't.
Yeah, no, it's
I
not
mean,
like
it's
not like
potential, but you
it's
don't
not.
know.
You understand? They're not saying like, yeah, let's fucking do it right now. They're saying like, you get like, you get countries together in the lab setting, and you fucking start to like, you share data. So you mix the vaccine, you mix whatever
I mean, it's a
vaccine variants you
theory.
have.
I guess it's a theory, but it's yeah. I see what you mean. Like, but it's not what he's suggesting we do because that's not ethical. But yeah, I mean, if they want test trial it and stuff, they could.
Yeah, no,
But
like I think you got like it's not like straight up give him the other needle instead of this needle. It's like the world has all like developed all these different vaccines. He's just
yeah,
basically saying like let's do experiments to see if we can boost efficacy
I
by
just
mixing.
I just find it funny because during this whole pandemic situation, they always talk about the risk. Like, they talk about the risk of rich country having all the vaccine, and we always have to worry about the poor ones. They talk about the issue of what the potential issue or potential benefit of getting different vaccines, and then they're talking about how people shop for vaccines. Like, people want certain vaccines over other vaccines, right? And like we knew all these problems coming beforehand, but it's almost like we still powerless to prevent any of them. Like we still kind of live through those problems. You know what I mean? I just think it's ridiculous, or I find that funny.
Well, even like fucking Joe Rogan was saying he was basically going full out anti-vaxxer on his show nowadays,
Well,
right?
he was. Yeah, I didn't know he was an anti-vaxxer when he was telling kids, if you're healthy, don't take the vaccine.
Yeah, he's
like,
basically he's straight up
don't
just
fuck
fucking
yourself
on
up.
everybody. Ever since he moved to
And
Texas or something, it's just parts of his brains have started melting into like a smooth marble. So now he's just coming out with the worst takes.
so is this show doing better or worse?
I think he might have took a hit, but I think he's still pretty good.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter because he got paid up front. So
Yeah.
whether he got hit or not, it's not a big deal. But yeah, it's interesting that I didn't know about him being an anti-vaxxer, but yeah, it's interesting.
Well, the thing is, I don't think he was. I think he just recently he's just starting to.
Like he adopted this idea?
Yeah, I guess I don't know if he's hanging out with a different crowd or he's getting like fucking
Like
convinced
he's
by
hanging
these.
out with Crowder.
He's getting convinced by these morons or some shit. But like that's his mindset now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess and it's always small, right? Because he's not saying don't take the vaccine. I think in the clip that people hear, he's suggesting young people who are healthy shouldn't take the vaccine.
I don't know. Like you listen to the whole context. He just doesn't. He's moved against like the whole situation in the world. He doesn't like the lockdowns. He doesn't like how they are getting everybody to do vaccines. He doesn't want them to mandate everybody to get vaccines or some shit, right? He's totally against all that stuff, which is.
But
like,
he lives in such a privileged world because in the U.S.
Of course.
they're doing really well with vaccination.
And he's
like, a lot of
privileged
people are getting
above.
vaccinated.
He's privileged above privilege, right? Like
That's true.
he's not in like the pleb fucking crowd, So he doesn't. There's a lot of stuff he doesn't actually have to worry about.
Yeah. I don't know. I just can't wait for vaccine to be a norm in my part of the community.
Yeah.
I'm just so jealous. People are hanging out, and I feel left alone, left out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and India is like kind of the reminder is like, this is what any country would look like if you just said fuck it. This is what fuck it looks like. So it's like I don't get like it was always baffling my mind how you can get
But it's
grown
always
adults
like
saying that everything
we
was a
always
fucking
had
hoax.
examples though. Like we had the example of Italy warning us like COVID's a real thing,
Always.
it's not a hoax.
Like
and,
you had years, like you got
Yeah,
it from
like
China
New
at first, right? You
York.
saw Wuhan getting locked down,
oh yeah,
and then you
saw
got
Wuhan,
Italy, and then you got fucking whatever Europe,
Spain,
New York
Brazil,
before the rest
New
of
York.
America, and then the rest of America.
Yeah.
And it's like you would assume that you're more than a year and a half in now, you kind of know what the fuck's going on. You know,
I feel like it's that
you're not
unless
like
it happens to yourself, you feel invincible until you get sick. I feel like it's that
they
mentality.
even had their own wave in India. They locked down once already. They, you know, they didn't treat it as a joke, except they started to treat it as a joke. I don't know. I don't understand. It's a year and a half in, and they're still fucking up about this. Like,
Well, that's the thing they warn us about is COVID fatigue, but they never really mention how to prevent that or if there's preventable because
it's
I
easily
am
for just say don't be like fuck it. That's it.
well, like I'm just noticing in my community where I have people who don't seem to take it as serious and like numbers are rising because of the variant, and I'm just like, and people are like, oh, I just think people seem too relaxed. And I
Yeah,
just feel like,
we're a fucking stupid country when it comes to that and stuff. Like I said last time, like the ones that get fucked the most during the shut lockdown and then open up lockdown is exactly those like small business owners that want you to open up, and they're the ones that oh fuck, you got locked down again because everything's going to shit. Oh, I wanted to open up again. Oh well, last time this is not good for you. And you're advocating this, like fuck.
so when you see small businesses get being out of business, do you look at them and be like, this is your own doing?
No,
If you wanted to open up.
no. I mean, like the whole thing is the government is being fucking dumb because the whole thing is like, yeah, make it so these guys and everybody doesn't have to worry about like how to fucking stay afloat if you tell them to lock down, right? Like the government has to fucking step in and stop being a pussy. Don't be afraid if people call you socialist. Just fucking do it. And all non-ironically, all the socialist countries are actually they did way better. So like fucking just do it. Do whatever works. Just do it, and then you will reward yourself by not going through this stupid charade every day.
Do you think that would be our way to be pushed into socialism by having more pandemics? Then people will start seeing that, hey, socialism is the best way for us to.
Oh, this is what the accelerationists always describe, right? Like this is their theories where the crises themselves would accelerate this, right? Would be the catalyst for a quicker transition to it. And there is some truth in it where it's like, yeah, these crises are the driving force of a lot of change in society historically, right? But it's just like, I don't know, like I don't think the normal average Joe can stomach just crises after crises, like I think it scares the shit out of them.
Right.
Like you're basically giving the society the Sparta treatment, but at the same time, it's sort of not like a choice. Basically, the accelerationist argument is like these crises are going to happen because just how society is set up, they can't even deal with it. So it's not like everybody's choosing the crises to happen. It's going to happen just because of the way it is. So, and maybe it will accelerate stuff. But there's a whole fucking group of guys, accelerationists. That's what they talk about all the time.
Anyways, I think I'm good with this COVID talk. Should
Yeah.
we
Wrap
go
up the
to
filler?
a wrap-up topic? Wrap up with the filler?
Wrap up
Sure,
the
we can
filler.
wrap up with filler.
All right. What's your dessert topic?
My dessert topic?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I had a good one. Oh, McDonald's.
Oh.
Did you guys read up on my article about McDonald's?
What it was again? Refresh.
It was there was a meme in McDonald's about their ice cream machines always breaking, and if you
Ooh.
ever try to get the like a McFlurry and something, they'll say, "Oh, sorry, our ice machine's under maintenance," or they'll say it's in a cleaning process and we don't have ice cream, and people get upset and stuff. Then there's a whole conspiracy, I guess, going on with this, and you could call it a cold war that's happening with McDonald's and this one entrepreneur who found a solution to McDonald's ice cream machine fiasco. So it was a conspiracy. It's kind of interesting.
What?
Have you guys?
No, I
Well,
haven't
first-
looked into it.
Okay, so have you guys ordered ice creams from McDonald's before?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah,
And have you experienced that?
I've experienced
They'll tell you-
sometimes. Yeah, they've been shut down or they're
So-
not available.
I sent you guys a website called McBroken. It's a website that shows you a map of all the machines that are working and all the machines are broken. And the way the app works is, I think he orders an ice cream, like a single ice cream cone online, and if they're broken, they'll not deliver, and that's how he gets the data of which ones are broken, which ones aren't. So if you ever were to get McDonald's ice cream, I would highly suggest going on that website to check if the ice cream machine is working at your intended destination of McDonald's. Otherwise, you're just gonna waste your time, and then you have to find another McDonald's or go to a lesser known fast food like Burger King or Wendy's. You know.
I
Okay.
don't really notice them being closed that often. At least not the one near me.
You're lucky because if you look at that website I sent you, you will see that 50% of the machines in US currently right now are broken. And and why they're broken, it's not a coincidence. It's a known fact that they break a lot. So, and it's funny because the company that sells McDonald's ice cream machines is called Taylor, and they sell ice cream machines to other franchisees like Wendy's or Burger King. But they're not known for breaking down. Like, there's no meme about their ice cream machine breaking down. So it's just a McDonald's thing. And what McDonald's employees will tell you is that there's this cleaning process that takes about 4 hours. So sometimes they'll tell you, oh, our machine's down for 4 hours because they're running that cleaning process. But most most owners of these restaurants, they'll run that overnight, right? They don't run that during daytime operation hours. The thing is with McDonald's is that they have a machine that's very picky. So when you run it, sometimes it'll fail and then it'll not clean well overnight and you have to rerun it again. So that's why sometimes they have to run it during the operation hours. The other issue is these machines, over time, they became more cryptic. Like, they will have an error message and they don't tell you what's wrong with them. So when you check the owner's manual, it will just tell you to call a technician. And you would have to call the Taylor technician and it would fix your ice cream machine. And they can be very simple. What they also don't tell you is these technicians actually has a secret menu on the machine that actually tells you what's wrong with the machine. So only the technicians will have this access to the secret menu, right? And what you might find out in this conspiracy, they start digging in, Taylor, like about 25% of the revenue is made by technician calls. And then you can kind of relate to like McDonald's making a lot of these technician calls, right? So someone had noticed this whole money grabbing, plan that McDonald's has constructed with Taylor to, siphon money from their franchisee owners. So this guy, he created a device where you would install into your ice cream machine and it'll hack into the ice cream machine and then read the error codes and then sends a message to your phone in an app form that tells you exactly what the machine's complaining about. So you can troubleshoot yourself, fix it quicker, and then don't need to call the technician, right? And in McDonald's, they caught wind of this entrepreneur, and then they told other franchisees that if you have this system, it would break your warranty, and it would be like, they break that warranty and whatever. So then they're just basically trying to threaten their franchisee owner, do not buy this product. So this entrepreneur is now trying to sue McDonald's of anti-competitiveness.
They're gonna lose. They're gonna lose.
Likely. Because if you and this story is not unique because we've heard of it in John Deere and we've heard it with Apple. Apple, actually, it's funny because Apple's very older generation iPhones was a very repair-friendly phone. Like if you open the iPhone, they actually label stuff with stickers to tell you what parts to remove first or where are the connectors are and stuff. Now Apple, when they design products, they design it so it's repair unfriendly, right? Like if you try to use parts that is not Apple owned, it's not going to work. It's going to detect like, oh, this is not an OEM part, or like you have to like do a lot of things. And anytime you try to modify your own phone, it will void the warranty, right? So like the whole right to repair. This is a small story and a bigger story of what is the right to repair is, right? Because if you talk about like environment, you're talking about reusing stuff. Right to repair is a good thing. And the fact that these big companies are preventing us from repairing our own devices is just causing more waste and stuff. And it's all because of money, right? They just want more money.
Yeah.
Like it's
they're
ridiculous.
they're gonna have everything basically as centralized. Well, as basically centralized in the way where like they don't want just individual franchisees adopting things. If there's anything going to be adopted, it has to be like from the top of McDonald's downwards.
Yeah.
It's going to be in a way they just evolve into a bureaucracy, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's upsetting because like I own a pair of AirPods and I can tell it's coming to the end of its life because one thing is my microphone on my AirPods no longer work. So like it just doesn't pick up my voice. The other thing is I think the Bluetooth is cutting out in and out sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and there's really nothing the technician will do. They'll just suggest to me to buy a new pair.
Send that shit in and buy a new pair.
Yeah. That's like, and actually, I forgot. There's a company that's trying to mitigate this by, it's called like AirPod Swap. What you do is you send in your broken AirPod and they'll send you a fixed AirPod for a fraction of the price. And what they do is try to fix your broken one. And then when that one's fixed, that when someone else sends their broken one, they can send them the fixed one, a refurbished one. And they're trying to like keep the cycle going. So it's kind of
very
interesting.
Why wouldn't Apple do that?
Huh?
Why wouldn't Apple do that?
Because they want you to buy a new one.
Yeah.
Why would they want you to?
Well, they can still charge you for, like, they're still losing money from that if they did offer the same service but at like a fee. And
because also the AirPods aren't really designed to be repaired either. Like the battery is super tiny, right? So the lithium batteries, there's a huge failure point because one is if you try to open the earphones, the way the battery's positioned is like you can't replace the battery without destroying the AirPod. And the other thing is because it's a smaller battery, you have to charge it more often, and meaning that you're going to use up all the battery before you charge it. So because you're depleting it fully and recharging it fully, it stresses the battery more. So more likely the battery's going to die way faster. And I think for most people, that's how they use the AirPods. They listen to it to the point where it dies. You put in your case to charge it, you charge it to full, and then you re-listen to it again. And it's just that full depletion and recharge.
To fail.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. It's made to fail, and so is the McDonald's Ice Cream Machine. They're designed to fail. That's why so many of them break often. They're not designed to run well, and they're not designed so that you could fix it normally. So that's a huge issue.
A huge issue. That's not a huge issue for them. They don't give a shit. It's a huge issue for you.
It's a huge issue for me.
It's more of
I was a McDonald's
It's more
owner.
of a bigger issue for McDonald's if they find out that individual franchisee owners are getting their shit fixed, not from corporate.
What I would do is I would own 2 ice cream machines. I would own one from Wendy's and one from McDonald's, and I would only turn on the McDonald's one when I know an inspector will come in.
Get fucked. You're gonna get fucked. You might as well just lose
Only
your
if
entire franchise.
someone rats out, man.
Yeah, you might as well you're gonna lose out your franchise for just an ice cream machine. Yeah, right. No one's gonna make that calculation.
You're right. I might as well just sell a secret menu of drugs at that point. If I'm already hiding this ice cream machine,
Yeah,
I might as well just sell.
Yeah.
That's a better idea. Much more profitable.
Make the profit quick and then run. Actually, that is the new trend. Like I mentioned about like startups, the whole idea of startups nowadays is not to design something with value and hope you get big and like conquer the world. It's all about being scalable and selling it. So a lot of companies nowadays are trying to design it so that they can grow really, really fast. Profit is not even a consideration. Like it doesn't need to make profit. It doesn't need to be sustainable. Your whole idea is to grow super, super fast and then get the attention of the big companies like Apple or Google and then sell it to them.
Bought out.
Yeah. But like the whole concept of not being profitable and the whole concept of not being sustainable is so backwards to me. But that is apparently the new meta for startups.
Well, it's because there's so many parent companies now. It like goes up so many different levels that everything's owned by a select few.
dude, we could
So
do.
why not just jump on board with that?
We could do, yeah, exactly. Then you're touching upon the point, and we could have done an entire episode just on that, on this how startups are the way they are,
Oh,
and
and
how the
evaluation.
bigger companies are the way they are, and how everything's just going to trend toward monopolies anyways. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
going to be that
we
way.
could do that next episode.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
we mentioned it before.
I guess
Yeah.
I'll leave a teaser for our eventual next episode that deals with this. I don't know if fucking Phil would want to get in on this. He likes this shit, but um, basically, if you think about it this way, if you think of it this way, it'll make sense. When you have entrepreneurship in something in whatever field, usually if it's successful, it's usually because that field is undeveloped. If it was an industry that was already developed, you would see already big players, if not already approaching a monopoly or at least a duopoly. That's a sign that whatever you're looking at, whatever industry, trade, or whatever, that is a sign of it's being developed. It's been saturated with the continuous iterative process that these companies go through. As they grow big. Entrepreneurship is basically you're trying to find something that no one's tapped into yet. By definition, by the very nature of it, is you're trying to find something that is not
It's
developed.
like almost like a gold rush. You're finding gold where no
Yes,
one
you're
else
trying.
has
It's
looked.
basically, yeah, you're trying to find a place where they haven't. It's like thinking about like housing development. You're trying to find a empty bare piece of land that somehow you think will be valuable to build up, right? No one's tearing down like fucking the Burj Khalifa to build something new there, right? That's what entrepreneurship at its core is. And as the economy gets even more integrated, more centralized, more developed in a lot of areas, they're getting squeezed as hell, right? So a lot of it, like eventually you're gonna have to. It's going to be a crisis in itself, and most of the entrepreneurship, you can tell the very nature is very different from just even say 100 years ago. A lot of entrepreneurship was in like products, right, or very like direct to services. That was where it came from. Nowadays, a lot of it is basically consulting firms or financial firms and shit, right? Like if you
Well,
think about
now
if you
with
think
tech,
about the
it's
startups,
almost.
yeah. If you think about the startups,
Mhm.
that's where a lot of it is. Tech is that other one where because of the tech blow up, that was like everybody just started squeezing into that little piece of like area that they could still have development where the term that we use is opportunity, all right, but like in the like if we're looking at this evaluating this, yeah, that's what everybody's trying to squeeze their capital, their money, and everything into these undeveloped, as yet to be developed areas. And you see that tech is getting pretty saturated already, right? Like, like what do if you're being an entrepreneur nowadays, you're really looking for really niche things until and you're hoping that there's like some kind of technological breakthrough that will open up a whole new like fucking undeveloped fucking area.
Like NFTs. That's a new
But
undeveloped
you see
area.
how useless like fucking like how the money is going into NFT, how people are even buying it, right? They're usually just fucking throwing money at literally useless things.
Yeah. I mean, burning money, I think, is even more useful than buying an
Yeah,
NFT.
so
Am I?
you're gonna see more of this, right? Like I've seen some YouTubers, especially this one other guy. He's a pretty, I guess he's a well-known guy, but basically his answer for everything is I just want more entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship will solve all of society's problems. Well, that guy's in for a big fucking, he's going to be sorely disappointed because what you think of as entrepreneurship, you can just see it. It gets squeezed. The more we grow older, the traditional whatever you think of as entrepreneurship, these like startup areas, you'll see what this squeeze does to them and how they kind of change, and you'll see how they change to the point of where they meet crises, and not just them, but like society as a whole will meet crises. And I guess we could
Yeah.
talk about this another day, but
Yeah.
that's kind of, I mean, you could see it, right? Like even if you guys, you don't spend your days looking at all this shit and reading all this shit, but you can see just from your observations, this is pretty much true for what's going on, right? So I mean, like it's gonna be trending that way.
Yeah. I think viewers will be interested in knowing. about entrepreneurship and how it's a lie.
It's not a lie. It's just gonna be it's not gonna be the fucking the golden egg. You know, like nobody's out
Yeah,
doing
but
gold. Nobody's out
we
doing
gotta
gold prospecting
we
now.
gotta have a
Right?
clickbait.
Yeah.
We gotta have a clickbait. You can't just title the episode like an index card. You gotta give them some clickbaity name like
It's like
entrepreneurship is a lie, and then
it's
people
like
are like,
yeah,
oh,
it's like
I'm
the
gonna
gold
listen to
rush.
this.
Everybody came to fucking North America to try to panhandle for gold in those western areas, right? Like nobody's panhandling for gold now. Entrepreneurship, the way we think about it. I don't know in the future if it morphs into something else, but
I would
the
love
way we
I
think
would
about
love for
it,
movies to like have the different message where the kid's like, yeah, I want to grow up and do own the business, and then the whole movie is trying to tell you, don't do that, don't have ideas,
it's
follow
just
the communists,
the ideas will be
do what
funneled
you're
into
told.
something different. Like, you know, you can't panhandle for gold anymore. You can do something else. It's the same fucking logic. You're not probably not gonna start a business or whatever, but maybe there'll be something else that everybody will fucking start doing, because you know that society and technology has advanced to the way it is.
Can't wait, can't wait for those movies when they tell us, don't dream big,
Well, you remember
do what you're told.
nowadays when you see like western like wild western cowboy movies and you see panhandlers, you'll have to
Mhm.
explain to like your kids or whatever what the fuck panhandlers were. You know, once upon a time, fucking you could just go into the river and just sift for gold. And then in the future, I just imagine me like talking to my kid like, what the fuck? What is an entrepreneur? And then I'd have to like explain to them what
Aren't you
that is.
sign a job when you're born? Aren't you given allowance by the government?
Yeah,
Like, why do
doesn't
you
the
need to earn
fucking
your own money?
doesn't the collective just have to jack that thing into your brain? So that I don't understand this.
And you'll be like, what is art? Like, aren't people owning NFTs? Like,
Oh, dude, I think art will be. I think art will be actually one of those things that you'll get a renaissance. I really
yeah,
do feel yes.
if NFTs a thing, I suppose. I mean, I wish I could sell a cat
It's
toaster
the
with a
logical.
rainbow.
It's the logical next evolution of this extreme memeing. Eventually, it'll turn into like a very desirable
That would
art.
be hilarious if, like, an official job is I'm a meme generator. Like, I think of memes, I
Yeah,
create memes. I'm like, oh yeah.
and
I
then
think memes are hard to
yeah, and then
like
later
to
on,
make a good meme is really hard.
yeah, and later on you'll get like Da Vinci level like meme creators, like 1,000 years
Meme
after.
music.
Yeah,
Like, what's one of the memes that you think is Da Vinci level?
I don't
Ones
know.
that
Maybe we haven't seen it yet. Maybe he was just born. He or
Alone
she was
Forever is
just born.
pretty good. I feel. I don't know. Alone Forever is kind of an old one now. I'm not sure if people still use it, but felt like that was a good meme.
That'd be like Dante's Inferno type memeing allegory, sort of. You know, we want the memes that will blow us away. Perhaps the budding meme genius is still yet to discover themselves.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Such a deep podcast.
I think we covered all the highlights of Verbal, where we went from like
Yeah.
something day to day to current events to my turtleneck discussion.
I
Yeah,
want
we
to put
covered all the
one
highlights.
disclaimer. My little shitty prediction of the renaissance of art, I'm saying like not anytime soon. Fucking couple 100 years. All right, don't hold me to it. Fuck off.
Can't wait for someone to comment to you 100 years later.
Yeah, 100 years.
Hasn't happened yet,
Go
bro.
ahead. Yeah, fuck off. On my grave, I'll be like, anybody commenting about that thing? Yeah, fuck off.
That would be
I don't care.
hilarious if
I don't care. Fuck off.
on Jason's grave, someone's like, "Yeah, I remember him. He's the guy who says."
Who treats everyone equal. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
Such
was
a
a
god.
visionary.
such a saint.
All right. Should the visionary sign us out?
Thanks for listening to this episode of Verbal Laxative. Bye. That's all I got to say.
Yes. Thank you. Bye. Good night, everyone.
The
Like, comment, subscribe. Tune in next time for that thing they talked about.
Yes. Okay, bye.